Your interrogation. Your version of truth is all that matters.
Truth is singular. Its versions are mistruths.
Happy Wednesday and welcome to Awake and Activate live call-in show. I'm going to try and make this our regular weekly live call-in, sharing information with one another, so we know when it will be, where we can get together and share experiences, information, theories, and things going on in your area, wherever part of the world you're in, research versus what you're seeing in your real life, all of it, everything is good. Everything is good information to share with one another. Let me, while I'm doing the intro, let me pull up the chat, see if we've got anybody here, and we actually do. Welcome. So there's a lot of things that we are hearing about, and what I've noticed is what I see going on in my natural life doesn't marry up necessarily with what I see in the news or things that are put out, on the black screen. As we gaze into that black screen, we get certain information there, but then when we walk through our life, we see something completely different. So, I like the title "Breaking the Matrix Program," is because anything goes, under that banner. Any kind of sharing and any kind of information that is brought forward can fit underneath of that one umbrella. So some things that I've looked into for research is, like the Pope giving up the title of Vicar of Christ, but not necessarily just giving up, all the titles, but actually now his given birth name is in big bold letters at the top of their yearbook. They put out a yearly book with the information and things like that, but now it's his birth name that is at the top in big bold letters instead of the titles of Vicar of Christ, which is a condensed way with all the other titles that come with that after the conclave, and then you get your new name, which actually is the new name. So you give up your birth name and you are like a new creation, but you're like the apostle of the apostles, the servant of the servant of, you are to serve everyone, and at the same time you're the servant to the apostles, like the bishops. And I was not raised Catholic, so I found this information out through research. But then as like we look at a pyramid, let's say he's at the top of the pyramid, but actually it's like flip it. So the Vicar of Christ, or the Pope, would be the one, and he is the servant of the servants. So he would serve every single person that we look at the bottom of the pyramid. So putting them ahead of himself. So it goes after the biblical, where Christ gives like Peter the keys, and says, on this rock, will be my church, the keys. And so, it is after the stylings of the Apostle Peter. It is not actually saying that he is Christ on earth. He is the apostle to the apostles, the servant to the servants. And through, I would have never known that unless he had given up that title and put his own birth given name at the top in big bold letters along with his bio. And then at the very bottom, is the titles that when they get together, and he gets his new name. That's all at the bottom now of this yearly book. Look into it, you guys. You'll see this. This is, there's so much going on. So much information being thrown at us from every different direction. It's like, what? Also, so many different universities and areas are actually doing their own research studies, taking a baseline group of people and testing them for this virus and finding out that those numbers don't marry up. And the one thing that I want to know, as I was going through and doing the research on that, is I'm curious to know how many of the people that were in the baseline group, the control study, actually have an annual flu shot. And if they have an annual flu shot, does that trigger for this virus to show up in their system? Things to think about. Because I look at the COVID as the respiratory part of the flu, and then they've separated the respiratory, runny nose, coughing, ears, that part of the cold flu, and they've separated that from the tummy part now and calling it now that's the flu, and then the other part is the COVID, where they would be under one umbrella. And we know this from going to your convenience store. If you had a cold or flu, it was over the counter, bed rest, chicken noodle soup, things like that, and then we would overcome it because our body is perfectly designed machine to handle any kind of viruses. Our cells, if we go down to the cellular and the molecular level, the microscopic, our cells are our defense system, and they are able to flush out any type of viral and a lot of times bacterial infections that we may come across within our lives. So that's why viruses, which is also another way that our body purges out any kind of toxicity, will manifest a little fever, maybe runny nose, cough, maybe you'll have a tummy ache, maybe you ate something that didn't agree with you. You can have like flu-like symptoms because it's your body doing what it needs to do to remove whatever it was introduced to. So that's one thing that I would really like to know with these studies that they're coming out with. How many of these people actually had a flu shot that would test positive for the antibodies to be in their system. So I hope that sometime soon that those numbers will actually come to light. Another thing that I've noticed is what I'm walking through and what I'm seeing doesn't match up, but as time is going on with the studies and the information that is coming out, that they are becoming one. So although we think that we're small and what can one person do, well, you're in your paradigm, you're in your reality, you have your experiences, and in those experiences you are seeing what is going on in your direct life, what you're interacting with, what's going on, how are people, are they loving, are they fearful, what is going on in your direct interaction with reality. And as time is going on, what I'm seeing with these studies and things like that, that they are getting closer and closer to what I'm actually seeing and experiencing in my life. That this virus is not manifesting the way that it was supposed to in their predictions or projections. It's actually getting closer and closer to what we're each experiencing and seeing within our own lives. That's another really interesting thing about research. And when you looked at it from the beginning to what we're getting now, it's closer to what is going on within our hearts. No fear. We come into this world with nothing, not even a stitch of clothing on us. And we're here for a blink of an eye. We get our experiences and we grow, we learn, we expand. And then when you leave in like manner. So it's just a blink of the time that we have here. When you think of us as the eternal beings that we are, as we were created. So when we worry about, gathering trinkets and things and possessions and money and chasing after worldly things, people need to kind of, get the understanding that you can't take any of that with you. So what is important? What is the important things for you? It's just profound. It is profound. And then how we interact with this realm or this reality. When you break out of the paradigm, when we come out of the boxes, how it reflects around us. It's just amazing. And listening to so many different people sharing experiences of what is going on around them versus what is being told to us is going on, is just astounding. I also came across an article that's very, very interesting, and it actually put together a timeline. And in this timeline, it went right back to the simulation where they did the war games, where it was, this article actually said there was 109 countries that participated in Wuhan, China. And it was a pandemic scenario. And the date of when that particular simulation took place to when that it went like in sequential order of when this actually arose up in the real world. So to me, when they say, okay, we just did a war games simulation and then all of a sudden this happened all over the world, are we in a real life simulation? Is it part of this war game scenario that they played out and it just bled over into the world? Things to think about. I mean, the hidden hand that they have to tell us. So whatever they're trying to hide, they have to tell us in one way or another. So that is part of, the plan here. And we're to discern and to see and get by looking at either symbols or the way that people's mannerisms are, even when they're showing themselves on the black screen. Read between the lines and see what it is that they're actually saying, not with their mouth, but with their mannerism. How are they putting this information out to us? There's always something else going on, and that's where our discernment comes into play. With that being said, we also have our right side of our mind and then the left side of our mind. The people call it yin and yang, male and female. Okay, the right side of our mind has been oppressed for so long. Our creative side, our spiritual side, we can call it, some people call it the female side. Well, I don't worry about terms like that. I just think about, the creative side has been oppressed and controlled as the logical side was raised up. And so people, they don't believe what is going on because the spiritual side, the right side, has been so oppressed that they're in the left brain, logical. So they don't even believe in miracles anymore. They think that all the gifts ended with the last apostle. Well, as the right side is being raised up, we can't neglect the left side of our mind. We can't just say, well, we're raising up the right side and have it overshadow our left side, our logical side. And that's where these are my expressed opinions on this because of experiences I've been through, that the research and the information and the knowledge that is gained by looking in and using the critical thinking along in equal balance with the right side, you walk in a peace that is beyond understanding. There's no fear. You have unconditional love. And even with people that, accuse you or make accusations, it's just from lack of understanding. And that's in the good book. My people die from lack of knowledge. So just a little bit of wisdom goes a long way. Okay, so I did not share this show on any social platforms. I probably should have, but since this is going to be our normal and I'm just coming back into the groove of things, slow and steady will grow back our group. And, I want to get back to knowing everybody and interacting with each other, because it's really important that we know each other and we respect each other and our different experiences. At least it is for me. And how we interact with our differences that make us unique and beautiful. Do we embrace that person as they are? Or are we trying to change them or conform somebody to believe or think that they have to be exactly a replica or blueprint of us or our belief structure? These are things, that I value, and this is what I look for when I'm listening to other people, and I glean from everyone. I don't resonate with everything that everybody says, but that's okay. It doesn't negate their validity to their experiences and what they're sharing. So, without further ado, I'm going to open up the phone lines because I know it takes a little while for people to get the courage up to call. So, and remember to stay muted. You can hear the show while you're, actually in there waiting your turn to talk. And so if you do unmute yourself, I will disengage the call. We had an experience with that on Friday when Fifth World was on with us, with people coming in, unmuting, and being disruptive. And we don't want that. We want this to be someplace where we can come, where it's safe to talk, where we're able to share with one another without those kind of interruptions going on. So let me move all this out of the way and pull up. I have a beautiful background for you guys tonight. So let's take her from there. Isn't that gorgeous? I love this rainbow waterfall. It just speaks volumes to, each of us being unique. I just love it. I just love it. All right, let me pull up the phone number for you. And there you go. Calls are going to be taken in the order they're received, so don't think that I'm ignoring anybody or or anything like that. And if we do have multiple people on the line, then we'll shorten down the calls a little bit. Although I want everybody to feel that they can, without any stress or pressure, to have the time to share it is what they want to share with everybody, what's going on around you. How are you breaking down this matrix program? How are you interacting with what is going on around you? What are you seeing versus what we're being told? I have to say, one of the interesting things is by people not out driving and things like that, automobile accidents was one of the number one killers, which many of you already know that I'm coming up on the 1 year on the 26th of losing my daughter to a fatal car crash. But with people not going out and driving unless absolutely necessary, car crashes have went down substantially. So if this was some kind of a depopulation type thing they were trying to do, actually that's backfiring because less people are out. They're not driving. There's no crashing. There's no accidents. Therefore, preserving life. Along with the virus, a lot of people may have had the virus and already their body filtered it out and did what it needed to do. So they never, as they put it out as a pandemic, they never even came down with it because maybe they already had it last October, where flu season was going, rampant. So share whatever you're experiencing, shifting realities, Mandela effects, anything that you want to bring out and talk about. It's all good. And in the meantime, while we're waiting for a call, let's see who we have in the chat, and I'll say hello to everybody. Hey, preliminal. The conscious evolution. My skies 5D. Mike, you're so faithful. You're always here for me, and so is Pre. Oh, okay. Conscious evolution is mega tired. Oh, I went into, I would say, comatose state. Last night, I got into all this research, and when I start doing a research project, I like to dig all the way through it, and because if I don't finish, I'm one of these type of people. If I do not finish the project, then it may be a while before I have time to get back to it. And once I start going on that thread, I like to keep going and keep going and keep going until I get my fill of what is, what my goal is on that research. So I got a few hours of sleep, and then I woke up, and then when I went back to bed, it was like I went into a coma almost. I mean, I was so relaxed and at peace that I just slept like a babe. And I just woke up a few hours ago in time to I actually caught some Asuso this morning, and then I went back to sleep, and I just woke up a few hours ago. But I'm here. I made it, and because I really do want to make this a weekly call-in for anybody and everybody to call and share the information that they have with everybody, because it does affect us, and each of us has an effect on the people that we engage with, or that are in our social circles, our family, our neighborhood. We affect one another. So it's interesting to see how, one person can cause a ripple effect and bring peace to so many people by just walking in unconditional love, losing all fear. And some people need the facts. They still need that logical side. And when you have information and articles that you are able to, shoot links over to them, and so they can look into it themselves and then branch out into their research. That will bring the peace to them. And then they can start walking in that, and resonating in that, and seeing the changes within what they're seeing around them. You know, we always worry about, we talk about NPCs and things like that. Well, what if it's like this? What if there's multiple realms and we shift in and out of these realms based on where our heart is, or what we got directly involved in? Like, I could talk from personal experience. When that happened with my child, I was devastated, and everything is kind of a blur for the first 2 to 3 months. But so I feel like I went to a different place where I just needed to kind of get through what I was going through in order to process what was going on. So, you know, things like that happen to us, and then we get back into it, into our normal rhythm where our heart stays as a normal holding pattern, and then we proceed on with our journey. We do hit stumbling blocks, and that's what I would look at that as, and that's a huge stumbling block. But okay, we have a caller, Portland, Oregon. You are live on Awake and Activate. Who am I talking to? Nice. Let me make sure of something here real quick. I've got to make sure I've got my desktop audio turned on. Okay, now say something so I can see if you're coming through 5x5.
How are you doing this evening? Great to see you.
Great to hear from you. How are you? And you know,
You
I had the honor of meeting you in person. And
exactly.
nothing can take that away from us. That experience of sharing space in real life is something that
Exactly. And that we all made videos of it, and it's all on our channels.
exactly. And oh my gosh, and some of the phenomena that we were able to capture while we were there. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that was fantastic. And so here's something I wanted to add some perspective to. Does any of all of this shutdown feel like something that we manifested ourselves? I remember thinking back, like, how do we get everybody to wake up at one time, or how do we get everybody to walk off their jobs and realign our values and bring this new world on, you know, and bring the system down? And this seems like what we've been waiting for. More than a victim, you know, there's all these people that are putting this type of fear narrative. It's the new world of the roundups and all that. But this is also that we're in the 0 point time right now, in that 0 point field where we have the possibility to change and build something new, right?
I'm with you on that. And yeah, that is something that many of us have thought about. And it, you know, how do you stop the hamster wheel? How do you get people to have that time that we've had, that we've experienced over, you know, years, which we had to do while working or what, you know, and then sometimes, you know, we got to the point where we just needed our alone time to go through it. And now,
Exactly.
here it is, people are having that space. So
And that's what I was wondering. I was thinking about, so we've been having this awakening and processing this for years and making it easier now, or it's getting to times where it can take off and be like a organic, natural awakening, a mass awakening, and that these people that are waking up now are going to kind of go through it in a lot faster time period than we did, and that we can be that light and hold that space for them while they're going through this process, right?
Right. Exactly. Even when, you know, this first started, you know, when people started panic shopping and just acting cuckoo, you know, you were able to see. But, you know, as time has went on, yeah, because they are having the time with their family or loved ones, or even with themselves, to introspect and then see what's going on around them without all that clutter.
Right, and think about how this might realign our values about luxury items and non-essentials. that that those are going to be in less demand when we realize what our needs are more right now, and that the system that's been promoting that's not sustainable and hasn't been, and this is the new system that we need to build. And if we took it's kind of weird because you wonder what businesses and what things won't come back right away, right? That people will deem non-essential, and when they don't have the money, they're not going to go out and do these types of things where they had it before. Then you think about how does that displace all those people, like the sports arenas that were packed with people, and all the caterers and all the housekeepers and the all that. It's a huge industry and a huge portion of the society that's going to be displaced from this. That's possible, to be displaced.
Yeah, the value systems within people are going to change. It will change to family oriented, and what is important. What is important? I mean, just like in my, as I was talking when we first came on, we come into this world without even a stitch of clothing, and we leave this world, and we can't take any of this with us. It's nice to be able to leave something to your children, your grandchildren, and things like that. But you're leaving it. You're not able to take any of it with you. So I am totally with you. I resonate with that. And it also, I think, with a lot of the people that started this, even with the Mandela effect wake up, being prepared to be the walking in peace when this panic first hit, and then they look at you and they're like, how are you walking in without fear and no panic? You're walking in a peace that is beyond understanding. Well, you had already been through all of this, and I do think that is something that I think we have all asked for, is for people to be able to come to this understanding within them on who they are and what they truly do here and what we're here to do, and that it will happen in a much smoother and quicker time period, because for many of us, we were alone in this. We didn't have other people going through it with us, or other people standing out or even talking about it on YouTube channels and things like that, it wasn't there. I know from mine, 2001, nobody was doing this.
Well, here's another thing I realized, that in this process of awakening that we're going through, everybody has a lot of people have different catalysts. Flat Earth, Mandela effect, chemtrails. These are all just catalysts into the awakening. It's the first thing that gets people's attention, and it gets them out on the internet. It gets them in the process of all this awakening. But people can get stuck in it, and it seems like the nefarious aspect comes along, and they put these type of psyop information things out there to keep people locked into their catalyst and not move further on in their ascension. So I think it just helps. It's tremendous for us to just keep up that positive alternative past that stage kind of presence that we have, and the people that go through their process. You can't really yank somebody out of their catalyst or have judgment to it. Like Mandela effect, I gotta tell you, I don't, and none of it resonates with me, but it's just because it's not my catalyst. It's not that I look over and think you guys are anything off at all over there. You guys, it's just your catalyst. I see. I had no room with the clouds and the chemtrails and things. That was just my catalyst.
Well, the Mandela effect, when that transpired, and what I looked at was, oh my gosh, look at how many people can see. I looked at it as like, oh my God, I was really excited. The walk was no longer so lonely.
It's confirmational, and it's
because I'll tell you, you feel like you may be a little nutty. You're afraid to even express the things that you're seeing or experiencing with others, because they'll think you're a little nutty, and then come to find out, actually, this world is the chaos and the crazy. What we go through is our natural, and that is our actual normal. So when you think you're crazy, you're actually really super sane. And when you look at the world, from going from where I was before all this started happening, running on that hamster wheel and doing all these things and all just to keep us busy, stuck into the left paradigm, competing with your neighbors. I have to have the newest, latest, blah, blah, blah. All that is garbage. What my value system is now is in people, their uniqueness, their beauty, their heart, the way they express themselves. It's not about things. I don't care if you're homeless, or if you're on the street saying, I'll work for food, I'll be happy to feed you. But that doesn't make me look at you any less than of a co-creator or a interaction with this realm than anybody else. It's the great equalizer. And yeah, I look at your videos and I love Skywatchers, because when you capture and you're looking around at what is going on in that what realm and reality that you're interacting with, the images that you capture are actually displaying your heart, and you're able to share that through the same medium that they're trying to use to control. We're able to use it for good.
Transmute it.
Yes.
Yeah, we transmute. Yeah, that's exactly. So here was my catalyst when I woke up. It was the chemtrails, and I had such an attachment issue to the fact that they were so real, and everything that I was being pumped out, the information, it's strontium, barium, aluminum, blah blah. This motive, this reason, this application. I bought into it fully, and I used it to dismantle my life with practically, because you try to share that with people around you, and it's not accepted, and you're just trying to push your hell bubble on them. And so I walked around with that for like 3 years, and then finally I looked up in the sky. I realized, I was having an effect on the sky up there, and I started to see the beauty and the spiritualness of the sky, and so I kind of, my channel didn't go anywhere with the chemtrail, just trying to put out there, we're all being poisoned and dying. I got like 200 subscribers, for a year or two, and then I turned it around and I started to transmute it, and my channel launched for me. I knew I was on the right path, because it traps a lot of people. You see people with these chemtrail channels, all they do is point to the sky and see nothing but victimization and fear, and they're stuck in it, and the support they get is just other people coming over reaffirming their worst fears. I'm grateful for the chemtrails, because they were there for me every day to keep looking up and to keep further moving on this process and journey. It was like something that wouldn't let me just, brush it off. So.
Yeah, we go through, it's a transformation that starts from within, and we have to, we basically have to let go of what we think we know and allow the truth to come in. And instead of thinking you're a victim of what is surrounding you, that you're so small that you are, what is going on around you, there's nothing you can do about it. And then you realize, wait a minute, hold on. I am what is surrounding me. This is a reflection of what's going on within me. And that's why these anomalies that you guys capture. And by the way, I'm sorry, you're kind of far away. Nakita, this is my Sky's 5D that is speaking now. So he was asking who's on the phone. So he's got an amazing channel, and I'm subscribed to him. And I just, that's the one thing that I love about.
Preliminal. I can see the chat now.
Oh, preliminal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Yes.
Nakita asked, "Who's calling? Who's that? Who are you?" He wanted to know who you were.
Hello, Nakita.
Yeah. So that's what and we come to that understanding that, okay, what is going on around us is actually a reflection of what's inside of us. Everything we thought we knew seems backwards. Everything we were taught is inverted. And as you become more self-aware of this within you, it starts to reflect around you. How many times do you see chemtrails now in your skies?
Not often, no.
And when you
and when I
do,
do,
who's around you?
Um, well, I don't know. Okay, here's what I think about the chemtrails. If I actually don't believe they're putting anything and always doing something on purpose. I believe since our magnetosphere is collapsed a little bit, having issues, and these higher amounts of cosmic radiation enter our atmosphere, the particles in our atmosphere are just interacting different with the vapor trails in a lot of cases. Other cases, they're doing it to experiment or to monitor what's happening with these higher amounts of cosmic radiation, and that's the stuff that I'm pulling in, right? They're trying to block it because it's not like that cosmic radiation is having an effect on our weather, and when we have these huge Schumann resonance blasts, and we have these neutrino and muon flux particles enter, we get our volcanoes popping off, we get higher amounts of earthquakes. And so if they can do anything, if they can go up there, when I see those entities, those upper higher stratospheric type clouds come in, the trails will come in almost just right after they appear and leave a precise little strip there. Now what I feel they're doing is those entities and the chemtrails are working together, and they're blocking the UV and the ultraviolet radiation, the cosmic particles, so we don't fry out on the surface here. I can see over the summer where the UV radiation is burning the south side of the trees and plants. So I just don't feel chemtrails are being done in our against us anymore.
Right? And see, that just changed your perspective from fear to, you think that their intentions were actually good, but it ended up having side effects, which people
Sure.
and so that reflects. Now, what I was asking about, how often do you see them now? I don't see them anymore. They're not in my skies anymore. But I realize,
No.
yeah, I realize that. Wait
Not
a
now.
minute, but people, I could tell you, Mike, that people still see them. There are people today that still see that anomaly in the sky. So what is
Okay.
the difference between them
Okay, here we
and
go.
where you're at?
Here we go. Do you realize when you look up and see a chemtrail, they're very distinct. They're straight lines. They're pretty distinct. People are looking up now and seeing this cosmic energy, the higher amounts of photonic light potential, the stuff that makes the rainbows and the clouds turn all rainbow color like I film. That's the higher amounts of cosmic radiation, UV radiation, photonic light potential. People are looking up and seeing those big, long, wispy clouds, and that's the cosmic energy, and thinking it's chemtrails. I see so many people now just looking up and calling everything they see up there chemical. They're not really sitting there taking a look and seeing the plane lay it down. They just see these long, wispy, angelic-looking, the 5D realm, and they blame it on chemtrails. So the chemtrails have the government or the nefarious aspect or whatever our psyche has picked up. They're using it to deny the spiritual aspect or the cosmic or the natural effects that are up there. They look up and see everything as all manipulation and chemtrails, and that's there to lock people from seeing. Okay, so when they say Project Bluebeam, none of these clouds that I have are done with a laser or anything like that, even though I just put one up that says laser, but they're not done by lasers, and Project Bluebeam is there to keep people locked into the victimization, so they can't see, hey, those could be really spiritual entities that are up there trying to help wake us up, that this cosmic energy that's coming in is what's waking us up.
And even if you are if you read your Bible, it says in the Bible, I will pour out my spirit on all flesh. So if you're looking at things,
exactly the
yeah, and it is like an energy that is coming in, and it is light, and it is, and we'll go back to Mandela effect, the Mandela affected people are seeing, earth changes, continents being moved. Well, people will say mountain move and it will be moved out of its place. Well, when continents are moving, South America not being south of us anymore, these things, and I'm not a geography specialist by no means, but these anomalies and phenomena are going to meet us where we're at and bring us along with whatever, wherever we're at, we are met, and then we are brought along, and then the truth comes rushing in, and then we realize, wait a minute, with our real eyes, we with our inner energy being in the spiritual, because we fight not with flesh and blood, it is, spiritual, that we see that is us in a reflection out around us. So I went from seeing, checkerboard skies, like you play tic-tac-toe up there, to I don't even see them anymore unless I am with somebody that is convinced of them. Now, as all things equal, I am, occupying a space right there with them. We're blending together, that they are seeing those, and I could catch a glimpse of them at that time, but they're very minimal, where they can see a full sky of them.
And they're not very defined. Like a traditional chemtrail is very pronounced. You can see a straight line in the sky, but they're looking at stuff that's all fanned out and just calling it a chemtrail when it's not been left by a plane. That's the Holy Spirit you're talking about, that energy that's waking us up. And the chemtrails and the nefarious aspect that everybody wants us to be afraid of are getting people to deny that energy is here.
I'm so sorry about my dogs.
Everything they look up, it's like they look up and they have fear and anxiety over the whole sky instead of, understanding and hearing from it.
Okay, yeah, and like I said, it's inverted. It's like we realize that hold on, that's an expression of you. That's why I say I love watching Skywatchers, because it really gives you a glimpse into what's going on, within them. You know what I see a lot of in the sky, which is pretty, even on other people's, when you post, or Dead GPK, or all these different platforms that put out sky images, I see hearts. I always see heart formations. Either the cloud is shaped like a heart, or like the interval between the clouds, it'll have like rainbow lights, or colorings around it, in the form of a heart, where you see the blue sky, it may be like purple and blue and greens with color, and where like an interval between the clouds, it's hearts. I always see hearts.
Yep. And if you notice that, some of these skywatchers that have been doing this for a long time, it started like me, the victimization, the chemtrail, then they come to realize the spiritual nature and the ability that we're having on the sky, which is called atmokinesis, just like telekinesis or psychokinesis. It's us interacting with the water molecules or the other elementals that are in the sky. And so they've realized that there's something higher going on besides just the chemtrail first layer that locks people in, that you first see and get stuck in. So I can see now, like Jack's Dreaming, Dead GPK, several other channels, I can see their signature on the sky. Just like you say, it's showing a reflection of what they're doing inside of them and what's going on that they're projecting. So I can look at a video and without seeing who put it up, within maybe 30 seconds or a minute, realize, oh, that's Jack's Dreaming, oh, that's Dead GPK, you know what I mean? Because it's the same.
You can see their signature.
They have their signature. Yeah, right. And it's taken a while to learn that, but it's so cool now to see that it's what happens. So the sky has been there to help me through this process of healing and transformation, and I've used it to help change my thought forms, because when I go out and I have whatever kind of vibration and meditation or state that I'm in is what is reflected in the sky. And when I'm in a great mood and I'm balanced and all, that's when I'm getting the beautiful 5D looking skies. It's not when I'm kind of hermiting out or recluse, and I'll have blue skies all over me all day long. And I tell you, blue skies are the most boring thing in the world to me. You can, a
now,
blue sky video, maybe a minute. But I mean, a blue sky video. Who's going to watch a blue sky video for 5 minutes and put a song to nothing but blue sky? It's boring. You know what I mean?
That's a song.
So that's
Nothing
usually when I
but
get blue skies.
skies.
Yeah. So that's when you go out and you create those, because we have that canvas right there, and that's where you project your intent and your positivity, and that's where the elementals react. And I don't think that these entities up there are like here to come down and save us or fix anything, but they're here and they've helped me heal, and they're here to inspire. Look how organically the sky has brought Skywatch community together. You know what I mean? I never would have thought, 8, 9 years ago that I'd be doing something like this right now, and now that I'm here doing it, I can't imagine doing anything else.
Right. And with Dead GPK, when he'll get like a combination, like several people will send in sky clips to him, and what we're getting is a glimpse of each one of those individuals, what's going on within them.
Yep. And you'll see somebody that just filmed chemtrail, and when they commentate on it, you hear the victimization, you hear them, they're processing, they're still working through the process. And it's kind of scary because there's channels out there like, who they are, like Richie from Boston or others, that just keep people locked into that victimization,
Yeah, I don't watch them. This past year, you were there when we did when I found my husband actually found this. It was a purse. It was a gold purse. It was my daughter's, and we opened it up, and it had these huge crystals, these rocks that she had collected from different places that she had been to. And then I took the pink quartz up.
I still have my piece.
Yeah, isn't it that? I mean, so that even though I got kicked up, off, I got thrown off balance, and that you also have to realize as we're going through this, don't think that things are not going to test you or try to knock you off your balance at times, because these tests are there for us to, number one, experience, number two, to overcome, and to see the difference in how would you have dealt with it before you became aware, and how you handle things now that you are aware. Do you take it out on other people, or are you showing that love and peace and unconditional forgiveness and embracing their uniqueness? And I have to say, each one of these things that we're talking about, they're stepping stones that, although they're still putting out this type of information, some people have to have that kind of information to start. And then they'll, eventually they'll move away from that because it no longer resonates. It's like, okay.
It's just their catalyst and stuff, and they'll get past it, right? And that's why I just feel that it's important that we do speak out at this point and let people know that it's just a stepping stone to look past through beyond the chemtrails into the other things that are going on, and to not let it get you trapped. Because I have seriously seen people now for, I started this back in 2009, and that's when I was really in the chemtrails. Those people are still just feel victimized and trapped in that type of reality. And it's just that I don't go over and try to push my thing on them, but it's just to be out here and just to have the alternative that someday we'll see something different.
Yeah, that is something also that I think, when we first go through this process, and then we begin to understand, we want to, basically knock on every neighbor's door and tell them and share with them. But when people are not ready, then it's a waste of energy and breath, and it can actually, bring you back down into, resonating with where they're at, instead of staying where you have achieved. And when we're wobbly, I would have to say, a lot of us, because you think, oh my gosh, I'm just crazy. I must have just went off the deep end. And when you're, and then you're trying to tell people about, oh my gosh, I experienced this, and then and you're wobbly, you can get pulled back down or tossed to and fro, and that's not healthy. Then that's not helping the people that you're trying to share with, or what's going on within you. You want to hear something really interesting? Is when I first started my channel, I was doing it on my cell phone, and I would go out in my backyard and I would turn it on and I would share. When I finally got the courage up to say, okay, I'm going to start sharing, whether people think I'm nuts or not, they could be accusers if they want. If that's in their nature, fine. Well, I went through and did a revamp and started bringing some of those older beginning videos, and I started playing them on like a live show or put a combination, so I could revisit my journey. Because basically it's, as time is going on, the things that I once thought to be true have changed as as time has evolved and the experiences. Well, I got a comment from somebody and they're like, "Oh my gosh, your Merkaba is huge." And I'm like, okay, what is a Merkaba? So then of course I went and researched that. But what they were talking about is when I was speaking, the actual sky behind me was responding to that high energy of, I mean, it was, a lot of people said that they enjoyed coming over and listening and watching when I first started coming out, because I was so upbeat and it made people feel good. So, that's, yeah, and I didn't even think when I was posting those about the sky, but sure enough, the
It was
sky
doing its thing behind you,
it was amazing. I was like, and that was the proof there that we interact with our surroundings and it reflects what's going on within us. I was so overjoyed when I was sharing, and at the same time still nervous. I don't like I don't like the way I look, I don't like the way I sound, but I had to overcome those things to put
Hello, Angel.
Huh? Oh, Angelfish.
Say hello to Angelfish. I've seen her in the chat. Yeah.
Hello,
This is
Angelfish.
wonderful.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
So I really appreciate what you're doing. This is great.
well, I appreciate what you're doing, and like, even though that there's like the conspiracy or channels or whatever, people could still be putting out those conspiracy, but that doesn't mean that's where they're at and resonating. They just understand that that is a good starting place for a lot of people. So they'll continue to have that platform, even though they're not necessarily resonating only at that platform. They're moving on beyond that, but they know it's a good starter for anybody, or that would stumble across or be resonating at this time. Does that make sense?
And that's right where and that's right where I needed to be, is to learn from that, was to not have judgment over somebody else's thing, and not to not to let myself have an attachment to somebody else's catalyst or somebody else's contribution, to just realize there's a higher plan and everything's going to be used for the good, and that's where I'm with it now.
Exactly.
But hey, I'm going to have to go. My house is getting ready to go to sleep, and I'm going to have to quiet down.
Okay. Well, nobody else has called in behind you, so there's nobody on hold or anything, but I really appreciate you sharing, because, and I do recommend people subscribe to his channel. It's My Skies 5D, and just realize that we are much more than we've ever been led to believe. And the uniqueness that comes from each experience and what we share. I like I say all the time, I don't want followers, or I don't want people to think that I'm trying to say my way is the only way. I say each of us have something to offer, and it's beautiful. It's we're unique, and it's a beautiful thing. Thank you.
Well,
Do you have anything?
Me so much, 'cause Yeah, you've inspired me so much. I usually don't come on and talk about all my feelings and stuff because, I'm still in the process of working on it, and I'm not trying to get out there and act like I have information that everybody needs to know. I'm not, when I look up to the sky, I don't ask for secret information or think I have power from it or any of that. And I just, my way to, my channel is just like other people might be, stuck in that one little aspect of it. Mine's sort of the same way. It's just the clouds and music with me. So I really appreciate you for inspiring me to get on here and speak my truth.
And I have to say that although you're sharing your sky, you're sharing your heart, and from meeting you in person, I know that you are much deeper than Although you put that as your platform, there's much more going on inside of you than just what you're sharing with the public. That's what you're doing to help others. But as for what's going on within you, this is a whole different thing. I mean,
yep, exactly, and that's the thing is that I had to learn from all this is to not keep going to YouTube and keep looking externally for answers and for my attention, to just draw inside and go for the inner knowing, and to realize that just that all of the stuff that we see and all of the narratives that are out there are kind of there just to distract us from the fact of that who we are and that we're the ones that can fix it, that we don't need to go wake up the next person to us, as much that if we just fix ourselves, it allows the person next to us to wake up.
yes.
We don't have to be there to see the aha moment in that person. It's just that by us integrating this process is enough to hold that space for others.
Yeah, otherwise people would think that they would get reward out of, like, I woke that person up or I did it. No, it's not like that at all. It's not.
Yeah.
It's a unique and a special event that happens within each person uniquely, and it's wonderful.
And you can't sell that or corrupt that on somebody else, right?
Right, because they're going to go through what resonates with them.
Yes.
And you hit it on the head when you said, when you're seeking outside of yourself for the answers for, that's, you need to flip it. Everything's inverted. Everything is in our heart. Everything that we need, everything, we have it all. It's a time of remembering that. It's not about fear. It's about remembering who and what we truly are, and how we, should interact with each other as unique, as brothers and sisters, number one, and without the hierarchy, and accepting people for who they are, how they create, their talents, their gifts, and what they have to offer, without judgment or, like I said, there's a commercial. There's not a right way to eat a Reese's, right? Is that the right one? Or did that get Mandela affected? There's no right way to eat a Reese's. Reese's peanut butter cup.
I remember that.
Yeah. So
and they had all the different ways.
So there's
I really appreciate April and April being on your show last. She's awesome, and we've been through this whole process together. And
on Friday, yeah.
She's just tremendous. I just can't say enough about her.
She's beautiful, and her sky anomalies, are fantastic. Along with the wisdom, see, she started with sky anomalies and the kachinas, and then she is growing and growing and growing, and now dropping some deep wisdom. A lot of people can watch her and they'll set her aside as worshiping.
It's over their head.
Yeah, a mother god figure or something like that. I don't even think that the creator of this place, I think putting a sexual orientation, male, female, on the creator is limiting. I really think that, our creator is beyond our comprehension and our understanding. It's, this being is, we can't say it's a Jewish or Christian or, we can't put the creator of this place in any kind of box. And we also, with what has been bestowed within each of us. Wow. This creator that it, it's beyond description. But doing the sky phenomena, but you also have some wisdom that you've shared here tonight. That if you decided that you didn't want to only do skies, realize it's your platform, and you can morph, and along with still showing sky. Maybe people will get it, maybe they won't. They'll stick around for the sky phenomena, but when the appropriate time comes, the wisdom drops that you do, or if you choose to go in that direction, people will get it. It's just all in their own time.
Yeah, and I get real active with people that have emailed me and some other things like that, and several people have came and said, "Oh my God, thank you for helping me transition through that chemtrail phase."
That's
get
huge.
Stuck on that for quite a while, and all I had to do is just keep showing different things in the sky than they were focusing on, and eventually they're going to go, "What the hell? How does he get this all the time?" Right? And then they start going out there when the trails aren't out there, and they start noticing, and they start realizing, "Hey, I'm affecting that sky." And now we got these people that are, way up on the same level with me, and a lot of it's just by the music and showing them and talking to them in the comment section and stuff,
Yeah, so you're
It's
already
really
stepping into
rewarding
that. You're stepping into it in your comment section. So it wouldn't be shocking. It probably wouldn't even shock your viewers to see you, morph into a level, that they're coming to. Yeah, and the boxes. There are people that are in the boxes, and they're holding their posts for whatever purposes that they need to help people along. But even those people that are in those boxes, a lot of times will still do wisdom drops.
Yep.
So you just it's just like listening to anybody speak, or like I said, whenever I see, I don't watch a lot of media. But when Trump comes out to do his daily, COVID whatever announcements, I was reading the signs of what no masks were being worn. There weren't social distancing. They were all up on the stage very closely together. And it wasn't a matter of what was coming out of his mouth. I was looking at what he was showing us by example. And then I was like, So what I felt in my heart about this, it was starting to manifest out on the screen, and then we can see with our own eyes. It's just discernment. That's why we can't throw out our critical side of our mind for the right side, spiritual side. We need to have them in balance. So yeah, meeting you was absolutely wonderful. Meeting you in person. You're an amazing person. You have an amazing heart. We can feel each other especially when we're in person. We can really feel where people's intentions and where their heart is, and you can't tell me anything different because I've already met you in person.
Yeah, that was so awesome to get there and go and actually meet 100 other people that we knew from the internet. I mean, that was so confirming that we were real people, that we could do something in a 3D, that we could be online, and that we could actually all get together and be there in a 3D sense too. That was so confirming to me.
Oh my gosh, but the phenomena that happened while we were there it almost was like, okay, we're in a 3D location. We all got a map and we all went there. But were we still in third density when we were all there together? I question that. I wonder.
I think it was more malleable. We were shifting around.
Yeah.
We were shifting on the wave.
It was awesome. It was awesome. And you need to email me, sir, because actually I would love to have you, as I get things going here more and I start to get a rhythm going. I am going to start picking up and doing interviews one-on-one with individuals and we can show some of your clips to other people, because maybe I have viewers that you don't. And
You bet.
and to expand, because I'm all about expanding awareness, expanding our heart, losing fear,
And sharing gifts with everyone.
and
Right.
we have so much to offer
Sharing our
to
gifts.
each other, and it's just amazing.
I love you, Michelle. I'm gonna go now.
Okay, sweetie, I
We'll
love you
talk to you
too,
soon.
Mike. And remember, you guys, that's My Skies 5D. So I know they have made it difficult to subscribe straight from the chat now, but he has an amazing channel, and it is exactly how it shows on his when he's chatting. My Skies 5D. So you can subscribe to him, and you email me, okay?
I will do.
All right.
See you, love.
Thank you, love. Okay, we've got Philadelphia, New York. You're live on Awake and Activate.
Hello, this
Hi.
is Nachiketa.
Oh, hello. How are you?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I am really good. You know, we're on opposite coastlines, so tell me, in New York, what's going on?
I'm not. I'm.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'm not really in
it's
New
a
York or
phantom
Philadelphia.
phone number. I gotcha. Okay, where are you located then? Just
I live in northern India.
really, even better.
Yes.
All right. What is going on in northern India?
Not too much. You know, today's a nice day, so I'll probably go down and buy some supplies. But yeah, I live in an area called Himachal Pradesh, which is like northern India, and it's all like it's part of the Himalayas, so it's like
Nice.
valleys and
Beautiful
mountains.
then.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, it's all right. Well, you're spoiled because you live there. So for me to go, if I was to go and visit there, I'd be like, oh, it's so beautiful. And you're like, it's all right.
No, it is very beautiful. I don't take it for granted, that's for sure. Yeah.
And so how is this
Where
affecting your area? Are you seeing, you know, in your bubble or in your direct space, the chaos that is being proclaimed, or are you seeing peace and people interacting with each other, and you know, are you seeing something different than what is being displayed on the television?
well, I don't watch TV, so I'm not as programmed, I guess.
You
But
watch Brian
I have
Staveley
a-
though,
I-
right? I think you
Yeah,
do.
yeah. I'm aware of what's going on.
Yes.
I
That's
I
what I
know
was
what's
getting at.
happening, and I think you know it's happening everywhere, like all over the world it seems. And India is affected, of course, and everybody knows. And to think that it's a very dangerous thing, and everybody's actually quite concerned about it. But they're a lot more relaxed. Like I live in a village, and there are not many people here. But initially, like about a month ago, people were definitely more concerned. Now they're a little bit more relaxed, but they're still concerned, but they're still more relaxed than before.
Good.
Of India, I don't know if you've seen videos where and military personnel are people with batons. You know, they're actually like aside and beating them, being outside, just for, you know, traveling around during quarantine hours.
So you actually have quarantine hours. What are your quarantine hours?
In certain places, it's like big cities, like where I am, like can control what time businesses can conduct or operate. It's going to be 9 in the morning till 1 p.m. only time that normal businesses can operate.
Really? That minimal of time, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Right after noon, 1 p.m. That's it.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but just like, okay, like when, Brian was going around into the different hospitals and stuff, we have to look at the, like, law enforcement and things like that. Like the information that nurse, if you hug your grandma, you could kill her. Okay. You have to realize what these people are programmed or are what information that they, with their compartmentalization, that they are acting off of. So with them trying to minimize, the social interaction and given quarantine hours, they actually may think in their heart that they're doing what is good for people because that's all that they have to go on.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Obviously, it's all a matter of perspective, and they have their perspective, and some people, they just either are incapable of, or they don't want to think deeper about a subject. It's just easier to live life just being told what to do, and but that's kind of like what the brown shirts did, or the the Bolsheviks or whatever. I mean, like you name it. There are people who just kind of go around and do what they're ordered. It doesn't really, create a wholesome society either.
No, yeah, and people are seeing through this. Have you noticed that in your village that people are seeing through that? Wait a minute, things are not exactly what they are portraying to be. I mean, I'm in a very densely populated state, being in California, and I do not know anybody personally who has come down with this. And the people who actually test positive, they actually just did a study. It came out yesterday on here in California, and they took a base group. I think they put it out on Facebook or whatever, asking for volunteers. They had 3,300 people volunteer to be tested for this virus. Okay, like I was saying earlier, what I would like to know is how many of that 3,300 had a flu shot, which would put those antibodies into their system already. So of the 3,300, they had only 317 test positive, all being asymptomatic, no symptoms. But that ended up
So less than 10%.
less, and then with the 317, they realized that there are false positives that are coming up. So then they had to figure that into it. So it was a 2.9% false positive. They put in a very low, number, but it ended up being 0.107. Not, what did they figure that it was going to be?
It's basically 0.1.
Yes. And so less than 0.1. Now, when you take, that we're not having car crashes now, and this is also, their reports showed that actually less people have died from this virus than the flu that comes around yearly. And so they put that information out. But now we're not having people out driving around, so we're not having car crashes or, other things. But the thing that we need to think about and focus on is stress and fear. Stress and fear can cause people to manifest symptoms within their own body of, whatever they're putting out, and weaken their immune system. We have such a wonderful immune system that we, with our bodies, are, capable of so many things, always generating new cells. And we do purge any toxins that we pick up, and it may show within our body as a type of virus, but it's our body cleaning itself out. So by putting this out with fear and stress, something as our body doing its natural thing can actually manifest horrible things for people who, because that weakens their own immune system. Their mind and their heart
Right.
is resonating at a fear level,
Right.
and they're weakening their body from being able to do what it does naturally. So I know
Right.
Brian puts out this
Well, yeah.
information, but I also know that he resonates at a higher level. He can see through the narrative, so he's bringing it out to try to remove fear. And I have to give him the props for that, because he's brave and he actually will go to these locations and do what he needs to do to bring this truth out. But hugging his grandmother, would kill her. That really stuck in my craw, because I had just talked to my doctor about that document that he received that he was really upset about. I think you were there when I called in to Brian, because I was like, I was, not many of us get to hear it from the medical side on what they're getting and things that they're being shown. And my doctor's real open with me. I've been with him 10 years. So, when he shared this information,
Mm-hmm.
He was upset. They deal with facts and test results. They don't want to be diagnosing out of a whim. So it goes against their Hippocratic oath and the privacy, our rights to the privacy with your medical. So a lot of these things are against what our doctor's oath to preserve life. And when he, was talking about hugging your grandma, grandmas like to kiss you on the mouth. We remember as kids, grandma always wanted those she had slobbery kisses, and I gotta kiss grandma. Well, now you can't even hug your grandma? What? It's really eye-opening. I mean, it just really is. And the more people that understand this and see from within and what you're feeling inside of you, you will lose that fear around you, and people exposing and doing, the groundwork. And it's just, I'm not trying to, really lift him up high. I just appreciate the work that he does to go out there and talk to and investigate these places, seeing that, number one, they're vacant. Number two, the information that even these poor nurses, their heads are filled with. I think that when you're looking at police officers, that they're going through that same in the box narrative that they're giving, that they're actually doing good for the population by saving lives, by enforcing social distancing and restricted movements.
Yes, of course.
Not that they would all be like that. There's some people that crave power. I mean, some are just really lost in this matrix of the power play game. But in time they'll come around too. But I really think that the heart may be in the right place. But you're the one on the ground there. So, and we're not dealing with that here. Our police are not pulling people off of buses or behaving like that. Our officers are just doing their thing. They're not arresting people. They may break
Right.
up. There was a group of people walking around with their dogs and children. There was probably maybe 40 of them, and it looked like the kids had made little signs, and they were walking around, and one police officer pulled up, turned on his siren, and everybody just walked, back their direction. And then I was like, whoa, those are all my neighbors. But what I figured out is it's probably all of the school children who are now being homeschooled. Their parents still all communicate with each other, and they all got together saying, hey, this is not what's going on, so let's all congregate, get some fresh air, walk our dogs, allow our children some time to play outside. And then all he did was he just pulled up, put off his siren, and everybody just went home. So people aren't actively being disobedient towards peace officers, or now they're called police officers. But he didn't exactly get out of his car and try to bust heads either. It was really mellow. So, what are you seeing over there? Is it like,
Well, it, my area is pretty peaceful. Like India is a big country, like America, and there are a lot of big cities, and there are videos of large cities where the police are enforcing harshly, And in Mumbai, there are ghettos, a lot of poor people. Uh, so in certain areas, the people who are in these ghettos, they're immigrants from like Pakistan and other poorer areas, and they have, actually rioted. They're starting to create mobs, and they're actually fighting against the police in certain areas. Here, where I'm at, I'm in the head, so my life has not changed at all from a year and a half ago since I've been here. So
that's really good to hear. I mean, that's good to hear for what you are going through. Here, I'm going to tell you the fear porn that's been put out, and then I'm going to tell you what's really going on. Okay, some fear porn that is being put out is that the military is taking over the hotels and going to use them as like FEMA or forced vaccinations, and you know how people have always said, oh, there's FEMA camps, da 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 da. Okay, that's what is going out, like with the conspiracy or the fear narrative. But here's what is actually happening. As I live here and I know the people who are the homeless people, who were the ones that in my heart were my greatest concern, is where are these people going to go, if we can't be out on the streets after a certain, Well, what they have done is they're putting them in hotels that have like the little kitchenette in it with a little living area and then bedroom or whatever. So the homeless people are being taken to these places. They're being given their groceries. They set them in front of their door, and then they open their door and they bring it. They're preparing their food in there. It is not a FEMA camp. It is actually putting these people in a safe place as we go through this process. So the truth...
Wow, that's very generous.
Yes, the truth is that they're not harming these people. These are not FEMA camps. They are nice hotels. They are clean. They have showers. They have bathrooms. They have little kitchenettes. They have all the pots and pans or whatever they would need. Anytime, you should know, whenever you've traveled or stayed in a hotel, that when you stay in they're almost like a little mini suite has the little kitchen, the coffee maker, and little sink, and it's like has a microwave and a very small place or area to cook. There's no oven or anything like that. You can't do any like baking or anything, but the basic necessities are in this little tiny kitchenette with a little refrigerator and all that stuff. And these are not cheap rooms to stay in. They're actually of the higher end. So putting these people in a safe place where they can prepare their own food and supplying their needs. Also, if they do need any kind of medical help, they pick up the phone. Like, if you're having a seizure or a heart attack or something, they pick up their phone and then they are helped. But it's not, they're not being reprogrammed, injected, tested, or any of that. So the truth is much different than what is being put out there. And it is really nice. It is very nice that they are giving these people, a place to go during such a time. How are they handling that there in your area?
How are what?
How are they
Can you
handling?
repeat the question, please?
How are they handling with the homeless in your area? Being that sounds like people live day to day almost there.
I know. I'm not sure if there are any homeless, to be honest, because I really live in a remote part of India, and like this whole valley is like collection of villages. So everybody seems to have a home. I don't really interact with the locals like much because I'm a foreigner, and I live in the hut, like in the woods, like alone, kind of like lifestyle.
Off grid, love it.
But from what I, yeah, so from what I, like I doubt the government is providing the kind of courtesy for the homeless here in India as they are, as you proclaim, they're doing in California, which is like, you know, it's not a cheap endeavor to move military around and collect the homeless and put them up in hotels and provide food for them. Those are that's incurred costs.
We don't have a military presence
somebody.
either. I just
would
want to
think.
express that to you, Nakia, that there is not a military presence.
Okay.
That's
good to
I've
know.
I've
Yeah.
heard that, you know, a lot of people, or you know, that kind of news coming out that there's heavy military presence. Maybe there is in some areas, but we have not seen that or dealt with that. They just direct them, and then they go, and then they check in and go in. You know, they have to come
Oh,
off the
that's good.
street, so they're not putting them in jail. They're just telling them, you know, okay, you need to go to this location because they still have room. So they're basically just giving them, you know, like information.
There should be a genuine concern for us.
You cut out, hun. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I said there must be a genuine concern for the homeless.
Yes.
Otherwise, why collect them and, you know, put them up in hotels and then provide for them and make sure they're all safe and well, right?
Right. And there is, you know, it's pretty expensive. This is a pretty expensive state to live in. It just really is. And, you know, to a lot of people, you know, by just circumstances, I mean, if you're living paycheck to paycheck and you just lost your job, you can lose everything within a month and end up on the streets. So, you know, being put, you know,
Right.
with that kind of a situation, this being offered is it is a beautiful and wonderful thing. But these hotels are going to be reimbursed, and it will be through, I'm sure, tax raises in the future. But you know, we're going to get to a point where we're going to need to start talking about, as they begin to loosen this and restore things, that just because they've loosened and start to restore things, we're still going to be going through this, and how we conduct ourselves and how we treat one another is going to make a huge difference, because so much has been shut down, and you know, they're not producing, the products aren't coming through, so rationing, or you know, the shelves aren't going to be restocked as fast as they were like in the beginning of this, because there isn't a surplus in the warehouses. So, you know, everybody, as this is starting to loosen up and the truth is coming out, and things are going to start to normalize, we all still need to stay in the, you know, unconditional love and patience and kindness with one another as we head in that direction. The hoarding and things like that kind of stuff needs to stop, because you don't want to take more than what you need, because you just basically took something away from somebody else who also needs it. So
Right.
I really hope that people
Well,
keep their cool.
It's really difficult because people generally don't operate like that, you know, like it's a good thought. I mean, everybody should, you know, be considerate of other people, but like there are some people, they're not going to care. I mean, you've seen Black Friday videos, you've seen people
horrible.
fighting for toilet paper, right?
Yes. It's terrible. You know,
So-
I went out for a Black Friday one time, And I felt sorry for the employee because they have the stuff covered up with this, like garbage bags or whatever. And then at this certain time, they unveil it. These people literally trampled over elderly people. It didn't matter to get their hands. And I'm not going to fight
Yeah.
with anybody to spend my hard earned money. No. No. So I don't do the Black Friday. We did it one time. We will never do it
Right.
again. I mean, and you're right. That's exactly how people were behaving in the beginning. Take it all for me, fighting with
Right.
each other, and it really seemed like almost a divide in consciousness, like who is doing things that way versus who is doing things in a completely opposite manner. It's like, whoa, it was shocking. Okay, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
I think it. No. There's slight bit of delay, and I'm not sure hearing from your end. On my end, there is this kind of beeping. Do you hear a beeping from your end?
no, I don't hear it beeping, but you like will cut a little bit in, a little bit out. But mainly you're pretty clear.
Okay, do you mind I cut out and come back right in, because I think
Sure.
there's something with the connectivity, and let's try and try to call you back time if that's all right.
Yes. Yeah, there's nobody holding, so and
Okay.
if somebody comes in, you're going to be the same number,
Let's
and then
call
I'll
you
just,
right back.
Yeah, I'll grab you right on. No problem. And until he does that, we need to think about as things start to restore and breaking out of the programming, knowing that we affect our surroundings, as my Sky's 5D was sharing, that as we start to restore, that it's going to take some time, and we all need to work together in love and in peace to allow the stability to come back. Don't change your nature to be what the other people are doing. Keep your nature, keep your heart conditioned, stay out of fear, don't fall into any of those trappings, and just allow the recovery to manifest. What do you think about it being like a reset, Makia? That it's like a lot of people talk about a reset, but they're putting it out in a scary term. But like a reset of how we're going to value, and My Sky's 5D talked about this too. How our value systems are changing. Are we going to go out after the newest, latest? Are we going to compete, for things, or are we going to invest in people?
I mean, I guess it depends how you define who we are. I mean, if you define who we are as a majority, it seems to me the people are still under heavy programming, and they are under heavy programming because it's done deliberately, in my opinion. I do believe that there is going to be a reset. Microsoft recently came out with a patent that allows the human body to basically generate and maintain a blockchain cryptocurrency system. I don't know how familiar you are with the blockchain and cryptocurrencies, but
Yeah.
that is kind of like the trend for the 10 years since Bitcoin. And it seems to be that we might be heading in that direction. I'm not saying that we are, but there are indications that there's, you do understand that the whole financial system in the world is not sustainable. It's not massively sustainable. It was never meant to be sustainable.
Well, pretty much.
So a
How
reset
different is that from, online banking or having everything is already electronic anyways. So what you're talking about really isn't a change. This is when we do our banking.
Well,
it's all numbers on a computer
yeah.
screen.
No, the online banking and the credit card system, that's kind of getting people away from the cash system, and cash has no face to it. Somebody gets cash, they can buy whatever they want with it. But with the whole credit card, it's more difficult to go and, let's say, buy guns and drugs or anything nefarious, you can say, because it's recorded. But it's still within the central banking system, right? And then what a blockchain does is that each coin or token is accounted for. It's wherever it goes, it always can track where the money went, and then where it goes, where it came from, etc. It will be timestamped. It will be the address will be on there. So it's about trackability.
Right, and they're pretty much
It's just the
already
next step
doing
up.
that
It's-
by what you're purchasing, and okay,
Right.
even with one of my credit cards, like if I
It's the
go and
next
make
step
an
up.
unusual purchase, they will shut my card off and call
Right.
me. They'll be like, there was an unusual purchase. Well,
Sure, yeah.
So basically, this is something
Absolutely.
that's been going on already. I have to say, I do not think that we will ever give up the cash currency. Babysitters and things like that. They get paid in cash. You get your 14-year-old babysitter over there to watch your kids while you go out to the movies or dinner with your husband or wife. You pay them with cash.
Mhm.
It's just that I think
Generally.
with the reset, I think we should have something that backs up our currency. Now, what I can see that could take place, because America is a corporation.
What's backing up the U.S. dollar, though?
Well,
what
it
is
was
backing up the
it
US
was
dollar?
petro. It used to be gold, then it went to oil. So now they just print money and it's just
Right.
going straight into the system. But as America, it changed over from being a country to a corporation. So what better person to have in office than a businessman who's very familiar with filing bankruptcy? So if you do a bankruptcy,
Yeah, that's true.
you pretty
That's
much
precisely
just
This
reset.
is the reason why he's been. Yeah,
See what I'm saying?
he is well known for.
Exactly.
Yeah, like you're a billionaire, but you've filed for bankruptcy 2 or 3 times already. So I don't
Even
know
if
how
it's a
you became a mayor.
reorganization, even if it's a
But,
reorganization bankruptcy, I mean, think of this would be a perfect time to file bankruptcy. And if people just understand what bankruptcy is and don't panic over it, thinking, okay, now my dollars aren't worth anything. I go to work, I get a paycheck, and it's not worth anything. That's not what it would be. It would be a bankruptcy that would basically, like, all the expenditures that are beyond, repayable, or any countries that are owed, or any kind of, the deficit, all of that stuff would be like a reorganization. They would go bankrupt on that. They're not going to bankrupt
Right.
on the population. They're going to bankrupt on on other corporations, which are non-living.
But like,
anyways.
we did bail out like a lot of companies, like Fannie, Freddie Mac back in 2006, and then we had the financial crisis 2008.
Oh, in
so
2008.
and then
Oh my
we also
gosh.
bailed out like companies and stuff. So like all these corporations and companies, they're very massive. And how were they bailed out? They bailed them out with, it's been basically just
Digital numbers.
and they don't really print. They just add digits. Yeah,
Yes.
digital numbers, and
It's just
but,
add
like,
another comma and a
what
few
did they
zeros.
represent?
You're right. You're so spot on.
But what
For
did it-
being
what
in
does
India,
the-
you're really
but, like,
onto
what
it.
Well, appreciate it. Thank you.
But but you're spot on with it. So just if something, okay, one of the things that we learned, and that's why I say we forgive each other. If you've watched any of my content, we forgive each other for anything that has happened in the past because we love one another. It's unconditional love, unconditional forgiveness. But corporations are a non-living entity, okay? So when we are looking
Right.
at like
They are.
the debts that are accumulated with these corporations, and we go through, like, let's say it's a reset. In 2008, when all of those banks came in with their hands out, this money was supposed to go to the people. It was supposed to be like a trickle down. It was funneled into the banks in order to make it so the people who are losing their homes on these variable rate mortgages, where they hiked up the rates so they couldn't even
Right.
afford to make their payments, to
Yeah.
refinance their home
Yeah.
at a fixed rate at whatever they owed, and stop the bankruptcy
Right.
or the foreclosure process. Well, in 2008, what did we
Right.
learn? That didn't happen. They gave each other bonuses and came back to
Well,
the table with their hands out again. So that's why I say we don't want
Yeah,
to forget what happened in the
well-
past.
Right. Well, it's a kind of a Ponzi scheme, and it's something that happens
Kind of?
over and over again in human history. Because
Yeah.
what's that?
You said kind of, and I was
Yeah,
like, kind
like
of?
You know, yeah. I mean, it's another name for it. Whatever. It's just it's a Ponzi scheme. It's definitely a Ponzi scheme, but like it's just it's not as simple as like the actual Ponzi scheme in my mind. Like, I guess the way I see it is that these people who are in charge of the corporations, they are willing to take all kinds of risks, but they don't really actually take risks themselves. Their corporation might take risks. Their employees might take risks, but like they say, well, I make a bet, and then if I lose the bet, well, the government's going to come in and cover for the bet, and then I'm going to collect anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But if I win, then, well, I'm going to collect anyway. So they're in a win-win situation.
Mm-hmm.
But who is at a loss? Because like money has to represent something.
Mm-hmm.
Because we work for money, we pay taxes, we buy real goods and services, because that's all it is. It's, the whole of economy is just basically two things. Either you produce goods or you provide a service.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's all the world. And so now we live in a quote-unquote global system where we outsource a lot of the labor, So what has America like really produced over the years, like they own the financial industry, and the financial industry is kind of in bed with the government, and some people call that fascism when that happens.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And who did that?
Yeah.
That
So
that act that was it the NAFTA or
we're all responsible, Frank.
yeah.
Yeah, we're going to, yeah, we're all responsible because essentially we were duped and we allowed things to happen. But yeah, there's people who have their hands more bloodied than others, like the people who are in politics, the people who are the CEOs, and they've just operating under the programming of maximum profit. They're operating under the programming of hey. I'm just kicking the down the street a little bit first, a little bit more, but eventually house of cards has to come.
Mm-hmm.
You can only build it so high before everything starts to collapse, and that's the whole idea of reset, because the reset that is no longer sustained. People are, it's like my republic type of situation, or, Zimbabwe, I don't know, the Zimbabwean dollar, how it's an expiration date, and then they kept on printing bigger numbers on the dollar. You can get like $1 billion Zimbabwean dollars, and it's worth like, I don't know, something, and then you have to spend at a certain date. That's not a sustainable or a balanced economy.
And anybody back from that remembers 2008, the real property that would represent people's work and their efforts of their currency would be the asset of their homestead. that would actually back up their hard work into an actual tangible physical for this 3D realm property that they owned from their heart, from the fruit of their labor. And when that 2008, you know, they were giving out loans to everybody and anybody, and even if you didn't qualify for these loans, they were giving them variable rates. And then what they did was they kept on raising those variable rates, raising them to the point where these people with their paychecks couldn't afford the interest. So then they started foreclosing. But when you look at currency,
Right.
and then you look at property, your property is actually a representation of currency. It's actual physical, you know,
Well,
backing. But then they took it. They took it away
Yeah.
from people, and
Yeah,
then the
I mean-
funds that were supposed to go to these people to keep their, instead of gold or oil, their homestead. They gave themselves bonuses, just like you said. It was win-win for them, and they took it out on the people. Well, in a reset that would be beneficial would be a bankruptcy that is done on debts towards corporations and this inside Ponzi thievery. You know, all of those people
Right.
being bankrupted on. The great equalizer is what I would call that. So now they are having to earn
Well-
their keep. They need to work, you know, and know what this feels like from the other side, not being federally insured or backed, so they're a win-win. And in the meantime,
Right.
people having their homes or backing the currency with, even if you do it with any kind of minerals, you could do it with diamonds or gems or anything. It doesn't matter. The currency is only worth what we, the people, what we decide that it is worth. If we decide it is worthless, it's
Always.
worthless.
Yep.
So they can try and put a 3D.
And that's where the confidence line comes in. The free market is, you know, at play here because like people do put value in money, right? If you say to anyone like, "Oh no, I don't care about money," well, no problem. Then you're welcome to transfer your bank account to mine each time if you really truly believe that. But he really thinks that because people think the money that they have actually believe, you know, that it has value. Of course, where the hidden hand starts to come in is it comes in the form of inflation, slight inflation,
Just like variable
and
rates.
it's very
Yep.
yeah, the adjustable interest rate was the problem back in with the
2008.
housing crisis, and my whole take on that situation was that, like, you know, the banks were actually taking advantage of people's greed because, you know, if you own property, the property value would go up at a certain rate, and then people would be like, well, if I can get a loan from the bank at an adjustable interest rate, and let's say at the beginning I only have to pay 1% of the value of the house for the interest, then I can buy a very expensive house, like let's say like a $300,000 house, and pay, you know, $3,000 for it. But then if you went from $3,000 to, let's say, $15,000, now you can't not afford the interest of that property.
Right.
So, but then on one hand, you had people who were borrowing money to buy houses that they could not actually afford, and then on the other hand, you have construction companies who were borrowing money to build more houses because they were planning on, you know, converting them, you know, buying property, building houses on them, and then selling them at a profit. So you have what's like a kind of like a, you know, oversupply of something. But, you know, the bankers knew that they were not actually taking any risk because even if they were lending money to people who were not actually was able to afford it, that they could always take away their property, and then whatever that difference was, the government would compensate them, which that they did, which what happened, just like we did the financial industry. So
And you know, currency, think about the word itself. Currency means it flows. We're not supposed to hoard or hold. It's currency. We have had a form of
Right.
currency since man began. It is trade. It is I grow
Right.
apples. You grow
Like current.
grapes. We trade.
Yeah.
So when they did that, and
Right.
another
Well,
big
bank.
problem that I had with this whole
Think about the word.
yeah, bank. The whole problem I had with this housing crash was that being in the bank, loan officers, and the regulations that they put out, people were coming in, bringing in their proof of income, low credit scores, meaning they weren't able to meet their bills with their income, but they were giving them loans for homes
Right.
that their income
Right.
could not sustain. And that I find that
Yeah.
was negligible on the banks. And the banks, you know, so by
Absolutely.
learning from and remembering these type of scenarios helps us to not repeat those kind of scenarios. So I would, you know, on a
Yeah, the
reset,
managers win the order.
huh?
The people who okayed all that stuff, the people who okayed
Mm.
those kind of contracts, given orders that it was okay for them to do that. They were ordered to hand out as much as possible. Let's overextend, because anyway, the banks are operating on a fractional reserve system where, you know, they don't have actual money in a bank, because they know only a few percentage of people are going to come in and take cash out of stuff. So they can always, even if things fail, you know, they knew the government would come in. So if they win, this is the same thing again, where they're taking risk, but they're not really taking risk.
Exactly. And that would be the reset. Like if we were going to have a reset, that would be the direction that where my heart and my intentions would go, is that the financial system, you know, we do a bankruptcy on corporations and things like that, and invest in the people, and reset the currency on the value system within the individual. And when you take somebody's home, which is something that they've worked for, or you were the one that stamped the okay on a loan that you knew that they, number one, didn't have the money to pay, and then you put them on a variable interest rate, and then you also knew that they
Yeah.
didn't have a high credit score because they were already struggling. The responsible party there should go back to who approved it. These are the people who are supposed to be trained in financial management and understand these things. When somebody who's not trained or skilled in that, when they come in and apply for a loan and they say, oh, well, let's say you found yourself a $30,000 house and you were just tickled pink about it. You go into the bank for a pre-approval. They run you, they do a thing. They say, no, you can get a $75,000 house because that is, you know, what we can approve you for based on what you've got going on.
Sure.
You know you can afford a $30,000 house, but the bank is guaranteeing you that you can afford a $75,000 house. So what
Right.
happens?
Yeah.
Then people don't go for that fixer-upper.
Well, it's temptation.
They're looking after their children, their well-being, and a fixer-upper could be dangerous for your children, or you know, whatever. They're going to go for the $75,000 house that is move-in ready and already child safe, because they are now under the impression that that is what they can afford. So the blame being on
That's
the
how people operate.
is false.
Right.
That's false blame, and that's why, as you know, with the reset and bankrupting and resetting the economy, you know, we will have currency. It's just
They're both responsible, in my though. I mean, because you know, it's no different from if the demons or the devils came to you and gave you a great offer, you know, and then you say, well, it was all devil's fault. At the same time, who agreed to it?
well, let's say you have a fifth
They
grade
both have to be
education.
responsible.
What if you are a little slow? I have some friends that, you know, they're a little slow. It doesn't make them any less of a person, but you know,
Of course not.
And then they're told when they go into the bank that they, so they are not, they don't have the understanding that, of the choices. They're being told by somebody who they
Right.
trust that this is all going to be okay.
Right,
And they're given
yes.
a house payment at that time, which they're like, oh, okay, I could have got the $30,000 house at a fixed rate for the same amount
Right.
of money. Okay,
Right.
so with that
Right.
kind of a education or thinking pattern, they're going to trust what they're said, what they're
course.
what they're told.
I mean, it,
That's a
people
Ponzi
people are
scheme.
fooled all the time in all kinds of ways, and it's unfortunate because that's kind of they're we are all deceived to a certain degree. Let's just put it that way. Nobody here is like of such genius that we have a complete picture of what's going on in the world. I'm not saying that I have never been deceived or anything like that, but
Right.
what
Me
I'm
either.
saying is that we are still responsible for the actions that we take. Whether or not that if you became a victim, that's unfortunate. That's horrible, and that happens all the time. I'm not trying to diminish that and diminish what the people who are perpetrating these kind of stuff doing, what they're doing. But to me, still you have to accept the karma of your actions. Unfortunately,
The sad thing is
and then when you have to, yeah.
some people don't know, okay, you're now we're talking back to the, the not so educated in this field. They're looking at a VPR versus a fixed rate. So
A fixed rate.
yeah. So from an FR to a VPR, they don't even that language doesn't make sense to them. So they're trusting the person behind the desk. Looks like
Right.
Long Reach One is in here too. I have accounting backgrounds. That's what I went to college for. Now, if I was sitting behind the desk and I seen somebody come in and they give me I could not approve that loan, knowing that I would be setting them up to fail on an APR. I would definitely steer them towards a fixed rate. That okay, we can do the where it's a variable. And okay, right now interest levels are at 0. So basically, there's no interest being accumulated right now on this loan. Or you can come in at a 3%, which would make the difference between the $30,000 house and the $75,000 house being the same house payment. Well, then I would always steer people
Right.
towards a fixed rate. Stay at the fixed rate. Don't refinance under any kind of because when it's a variable, it's based on whatever the economy's at. So if it goes up to 14%, now you're
Right.
paying 14%, and your house payment just ballooned up on you. So I just don't know how people that with the education could rubber stamp these people through and put them into such a predicament, especially those that don't have that education level or understanding. I don't know. It just doing that to other people
Well,
is wrong.
The whole system is kind of fucked from the beginning, to be frank. I mean, we have the Federal Reserve system, 1913, I believe, and
we became a
it's
corporation.
a private entity that outside of the jurisdiction of the United States, yet they're the ones who are providing the U.S. dollar. It's got the Federal Reserve note on it. So essentially what the U.S. government is doing is they're trading bonds for these and the dollar is given to banks at a interest rate. So the U.S. government buys, so it's another bank. It's a bank. They're operating just like a big bank. So it borrows money from them at a rate and then gives that money away to other banks, and then they charge different interest because, if you want to operate a business or you want to buy a house, essentially what you have to do is you have to pay interest for the borrowed money, right?
That would be the first one on my list to bankrupt on,
We're,
by the way.
what's that?
The Federal Federal Reserve would be the first place that I would bankrupt on. If I was in charge of the America Corporation, I would bankrupt on them first.
But you're aware that the Federal Reserve is now part of the Treasury. Now.
Now, I heard there was some action taken trying to bring it and restore it back to America. That it's going to be American money, not a outsourced bank. And the deficit that we operate under is all they do is print the money or add the zeros on the computer, all right? And then they do charge us interest for them to have the privilege of printing out the currency. It's so corrupt.
Correct.
It's so corrupt. But like I said, they would be the first ones on my list to
But they've been
bankrupt on.
doing it for over years.
But people weren't aware.
They've been getting away for over 100 years. America is, there's over $3 trillion debt. That's just officially. It's unofficially, we're probably like 4 or 5 times higher than that, and like the value of the dollar has diminished probably about 97% since its inception, 1913. So, you have to have higher salaries, and then cost of living goes more, but the thing is always relative. It's always in comparison. Like, what did a dollar buy now to bought like 10 years ago compared to what it bought like 20 years ago? Yes, but the thing is, you cannot really, it's very difficult. It's incremental. It happens over a long period of time. It's slowly. So when you buy a product, for example, you're paying the same amount of money, but you get 10% less. So a hidden form of interest. That's interest. It's hidden. People don't know it because, when you look at a jar, there's a scoop that's missing underneath it. If you have a bag of potato chips, it looks like a big bag of potato chips, but it's 50%
It's
air.
all air.
Exactly. Et cetera, et cetera.
Yep. You're right. I mean, but it's not just
So-
America, though. I mean, when you look, they've got their fingers in every country. I mean, it's not an America corporation only problem. It's a worldwide problem. So I think,
Exactly.
when one
It's a
steps up to
worldwide-
the plate and starts to do this bankruptcy process or reset, the others will say, oh,
Right.
and then follow suit. And so then back to the reset even playing field. They'll no longer be able to take advantage of people in this manner. So, I just...
Well, okay, but we've been playing this kind of like big fish eating fish for a long time now. The biggest fish out there is the U.S. dollar, and then you can say that the euro is the next big fish. Even if you combine all the euros together, like the amount of dollar that is out there is like many multiple times more. Like I'm not even talking about cash. Cash is like a fraction of what all the dollars are out there. So if there's a financial reset in the U.S. economy, that's like a giant meteor that's coming down in the financial world, and the other countries have to prepare themselves because every currency is like pegged to each other. They're all locked in with each other. There's a kind of an agreement that's been made that yes, our currency is going to be pegged to your currency, so that it's not going to go more than 5% like fluctuation between us. For the countries that have agreed with each other. So if the United States is experiencing high interest and like this kind of financial turmoil where they're creating more and more dollars, like they're just bailing out a bunch of people, and they've created trillions of dollars, really, right? Trillions of dollars out of thin air. Other countries would have to do the same in order to match. Otherwise, the value of the dollar would not fit within the parameters of that 5% pegging that they've already agreed on. So it's systematic. It's happening everywhere. I agree with that. It's not just America. It's global. it's been global for. I hate using that word, but this is a better way to explain it. But
It's
like
flattle. It's
the-
either flattle or global. It doesn't matter. We get the gist.
yeah.
Whether this round,
Hey,
I mean,
Michelle,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I think I need to get going fairly soon because I can hear you, but I keep on getting ringing, and there's
Yeah,
some kind of programming that do not want me to talk too much.
Yeah, it is cutting in and out, but this has been an absolute fascinating conversation, and I'm going to continue on with this topic for a few more moments, and because of
Yes,
what we just touched on, how it is, people talk about the B system and how that's going to be something that we come into, this one world system. Guys, open your eyes. This is already what we were born into, and
I'll be listening in.
okay, thank you very much. And guys, this is Nakita, and do you have a channel?
Not Chiquita.
Not Chiquita,
Yes.
sorry. Okay, and you'll see him in the chat.
Not
And so,
Chiquita. Yeah.
not Chiquita. You're gonna keep correcting me. Not. It's hard to say. It makes something easy, like Naki or something. Not Chiquita.
Not Chiquita. Not Chiquita. Not Chiquita.
Not Chiquita.
Yeah. It's yeah. Perfect. Thank you.
Did I get it? Oh, thank you.
I'll see you in the chat.
Okay, sweetie. Thank you for calling in. We're already in this beast system. All of these countries are all tied in with the currency, with these same certain individuals printing out the currency and then charging an interest rate for that privilege onto the population. And then they get it back through taxing or interest rates. Now, it would be great for the banks to go back to the way that they're supposed to run. Right now, when you make a deposit, let's say you deposit $10, the bank can actually loan out, I think, I'm thinking 10 times the amount of the deposit. It could even be higher than that. Well, it used to be whatever the bank, when the people were depositing funds in, they could only loan out whatever a certain percentage of their deposited holdings were, and they were very picky about who they loaned out the funds to, and they did charge an interest rate, and a part of that interest rate went to the depositors that are holding funds in that bank in the form of monthly compounded interest. Now, since things have went and gotten so derailed to where they can punch in the computer and just money appears, this whole system, they're loaning out 100, 200, 500 times what they actually have deposited in holding within the bank, causing this ripple effect within our currency. So, a reset of our currency, bringing the value back and back to the people by an exchange on which we all agree on. We all agree that we need some type of an exchange in some manner or form, but to balance it back out, taking it out of the hands of a few, back into the hands of many, would be a step in the right direction. So going into cryptocurrency or blockchain, we're already in an electronic currency stage with credit cards, debit cards, tracking your purchases and things like that. That's already being registered into a database. Cash, paying in cash for items and things like that, gives us a little bit of our privacy and our freedom, which, this country is supposed to be founded on. I do not believe we will ever get rid of some kind of a physical currency that we hold within our hand to exchange for, whether you, like I said, you go out to dinner with your husband or wife and you need a babysitter, or maybe somebody is selling Girl Scout cookies, or whatever the purpose is, we will need cash to exchange with one another. So we're not going to remove currency completely, but we will replace it with a more efficient and people-friendly that's more invested in the people instead of just a certain few at the top. So, I wouldn't mind seeing a reset as long as people are ready for it and can handle it. And Raleigh, I saw your comment in the chat, and you were never in trouble. My goodness, my heart is always open, and I love everybody. When it comes to people, I love everybody. I don't hold grudges or things like that. It's corporations, it's non-living entities that we need to remove, from us, or false information and things like that. That's, that causes fear within others when you can just look around you. Like I talked with My Skies 5D is a reflection of what's going on inside of you. And we've got, speak of the devil, we've got Rowley right here with us. Welcome to Awaken Activate, you little troublemaker.
Hello, I'll be good tonight.
Well, we kind of went all directions tonight with all these very interesting callers.
I just popped into your chat just now, so I don't know what the topic is. And
it's open.
Michelle, I just love you, honey. I think I just saw somebody say in the chat room, Michelle, you've got the hardest job. I would love to be a host, and have people come into my call-in show. That's what I've always dreamed about.
When you go live, Rowley, you need to be a little more patient.
I know, and then I can't because the stupid YouTube. I know, but I don't have that many subs. I don't have very many subs, but
because you are
Michelle,
not patient.
Before we start talking over the top of each other, that's the funnest part of calling you. Okay, now wait. Before we get going, Michelle, do you remember me talking about that 23 September 2017? I was screaming at the top of my lungs. I said, everybody, the shit's going to hit the fan. And that was in January, remember?
Mm-hmm. You've been saying this for a while.
The shit's going to hit the fan. The shit's going to hit the fan. I said, yeah. I said, in March. I said, you watch. I said, Jupiter and Saturn, they're going to meet up, and it's just going to be big, big. Man, this is going to be big. Watch. And I said, like Genesis 3:15, remember? I said, man, I think this is part of that Revelations 12 Virgo. I just know it, everybody. Do you hear me? And I went into every chat room and I just felt it. Okay, now, Michelle, you also believe in power of intuition. Well,
of course.
You're pure woman. You're pure woman. But I'm just a guy. And it's just like...
That doesn't
I tell you, I felt intuition like you never saw, and I started going into every room, and I was just screaming. I said, jumping up and down, please, everybody, listen to me. And then I swore a little bit, and then I get kicked out of the room and stuff. And then but Michelle, that Revelations 2017 prophecy predicted this global shutdown. And then I'll tell you, the next time the planets are lining up big time, Venus and the sun, it's too hard to explain.
Take your time.
coming up in like a week, but that's too obvious. The end of this month, everybody's not going to get paid, and then that's too obvious. But the next big star movement in that 7,000-year-old prophecy, the next chapter that's really pretty big, the biggest one that's going to be before Christmas, is going to happen on 6/3. So on, what is that, June?
June 3rd, huh?
June 3rd. Venus and the sun, man, are going to be on top of each other. Venus represents love and everything. You know what's happening right now, and I know this. Okay, now tell all of the rear end jokes, Uranus and all that stuff. But right now, okay, Uranus is symbolic of riots, and there's stuff going on with that planet right now, and it represents riots. And that's what its symbology is riots.
And Raul, listen to this, though.
We're having riots right now.
As people are learning that this whole thing that we have experienced
It's a
is not what it was told to us to be.
right.
People will respond in ways. That's what I'm saying. As we come out
They're
of this,
mad.
we
They're-
have to stay.
There's people really angry because this is kind of like a regular flu. Did you know that I did look into that 5G being? I got another one just real quick. I'll squeeze it in, and I'm not by any means any kind of professional, but Michelle, I honestly do have way too much time on my hands, and I don't have children, and I just really love to study things that are current events. That's what I do.
Mhm.
And then but anyway, check this out. I just figured this out. Okay, I have an IQ of 140 something.
Nice.
I do, with shapes, yeah, but I can't tie my own shoes.
You know what? A lot of times the most
I can't-
intelligent people
I
can't do
tie
the
my
simple
own
tasks.
shoes. Hey, check this out. Okay, so Kim Jong-un, this guy, right? North Korea,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
They have no internet there, right?
Didn't know that.
None. They have a special internet. It's like some kind of national internet. They don't have the internet, right? Pretty much. North Korea is kind
So
of.
they wouldn't be
you know
able
what
to
I mean?
get a call like
Okay.
we just did from
Well,
India.
right.
Wow.
But
Okay.
there's rumor. We don't know exactly for sure because it's kind of like a secret country. But basic idea is, here's a basic idea. They have no problems with this virus at all. They have not one case. Okay, now wait.
Mhm.
They also don't have the internet or 5G network either, do they?
And they also don't have the propaganda.
Whoa! Well, I know, but they don't have the internet. I have a sneaky feeling this 5G is what's making people sick. And there's some frickin' big players agree with that.
Well, you know that the
there's some
second
people that-
definition of virus is poison to the body and
Mm-hmm.
soul.
Oh, I didn't know the soul.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Anyway, that's all I wanted to share tonight. I mean, if you get another caller or somebody interested,
No,
in
you're going
calling.
to be my last
I saw
call for
Dark
the
Wolf.
evening because of we've been going
Somebody
for
said,
2 hours.
"What'd you do today, Raul?" And it's just like, what I like to do is go into the live chats of NASA and SpaceX, and then share with them about my Freemason family worked for NASA, and I can prove that NASA are liars. And oh man, they don't like that.
You know, I'm gonna say that when you had that revelation happen within you, that is
Yes,
what, like
it was
what
like
we were
an
talking.
intuition. I was screaming. I was jumping up and down. I swear.
You said we
It
were
was in
going to talk
January,
over each
remember?
other this time.
That was before anybody heard the word Corona, isn't it? And I
No,
said, "Hey,
no.
everybody, look, there's some."
No, Corona
No,
was
I'm
around
telling
when
you
I was
that
a kid because it was a
I
beer.
was telling you that Virgo prophecy. There's a major chapter going to hit in March, and I was screaming at the top of my lungs at everybody. Remember?
Yes,
And I
but
said-
listen,
and then
let me
somebody
get to
was-
my
Somebody
point on
started
that,
picking
Raul.
on me.
Listen,
Huh?
listen. Let me get to my point on that because we talked about this a little earlier in the call-in about how when we get this and start breaking the programming and start realizing what's going on, we want to knock on every neighbor's door and tell them. But
Oh,
they look at
man.
us like we are absolute nutters.
Nuts,
So
yeah.
everybody
And
will
I
come
would do- I
along
did the
in
same
their
thing,
own time.
You know, if
Yeah.
somebody was beating on my door and screaming, "Run, run, fire!" and then I look around and there's no fire,
Right.
I think they were nuts too.
But that's, that doesn't, no, because what you were talking about was an alignment that you knew was coming up, and
Yes,
your
I felt-
heart and your mind, the
wanted
awakening
to
that was
tell
going on
everybody,
within you, the understanding and wisdom that you were gifted with, you wanted to share it and help people to understand. But that's one of the things that I find so fascinating about what we're
You know
all
how
going
little
through.
boys here. You know how little boys want to grow up and be a fireman.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I wanted to grow up and be?
What?
A prophet of God.
Who says that you're not?
I have prayed for the last over 50 years. Dear God, dear God, dear God, please, 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 please. I want to be one of your prophets and one of your 144,000 that's talked about in Revelation 17. Please make me one of the 144,000, God, please. Well, I'll leave it at this, Michelle. Be careful what you pray for.
Well, like I was.
I saw the Mandela effect, and I'm like, I said, "No, may I speak freely, please? I'm not going to swear that bad." I'm
yeah,
like,
don't.
Oh
No
my
cussing.
God! I said, "Oh my God! It's the end of the frickin' world!" And it was just like, "Oh shit!" And there's the last thing I wanted to do was sign up with social media. I frickin' hated cell phones. I was the last person on Earth. I was in the last 5% to get a frickin' cell phone.
That's because you're
I'm
old as
serious.
dirt.
I hate iPhones. I put my iPhone in tinfoil, stick it into a metal can, and then put it in my microwave and shut the door. Faraday cage, you know.
Right, right.
And
Well,
then
let me
then I
finish.
go across town, and then friends. I got a couple of friends. They're like, "Where's your phone, Raul?" And I go, "Well, it's at home in the microwave." And they're like, "What?"
Hey, sweetie. Let me finish my what I was getting at, because you'll go deeper and deeper on me, and then I'll lose my train of thought. But as
No,
people are
it's me because I have
as
manic.
as people are
No, it's
sharing.
me. It's me. I have manic. What is it? What were you gonna say?
As people are sharing, even from the different callers this evening, that different things awaken different people at different times, and so it will happen in their season when it is right for them. Although we want to
Right.
share what
like
we
us trying
what
to
we
tell other people about Mandela effect, people will not frickin' get it. They
and
just don't want it. They can't see it or whatever.
and along with that, you are awakened through the scriptures from from the Christian perspective, okay, and that's
Well,
good.
I'm
And
gonna say I'm a good solid quarter New Age.
Well,
I'll say close to half.
I don't even
I
believe
believe in
any
New
of
Age
that.
too. I
It-
mean,
it's
I
a
believe
faith.
that born again possibly might mean reincarnation.
It-
Okay,
it's a
I'm not,
faith, not
I'm
a
not
religion.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm not Southern Baptist. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you understand what I'm
Hello?
saying though? It's not a religion. What I'm talking about is a faith. There is a God. There is a creator. The signs that you see in the heavenlies are there for you to see, to discern, and to have the wisdom and to come through the
Well,
way
that's
that
what
you
I
come
prayed
through.
for. That's what I prayed for, and I've told the future, I don't know how many times, Michelle, you don't win at 15 casinos in a row, and I'm not a professional. And you don't do that just by luck. You know what I'm saying? And then so, look, if you pray sincerely every day, please, dear God, can I be one of your guardian angels, I mean, if you sincerely, really, with all your heart, mind, body, soul, and you pray that, you really want that, don't you think that God would just give that to you?
Yes.
Come on.
Yes.
Yes, he would. Because he loves us. We're his kids.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Children.
I don't know where I'm going with this. I was just calling in just because
Just because
I
you're
just woke up. I just woke up. I kind of want to apologize to people. There's people in the room that see me in other chat rooms, and I start swearing and getting mad because I kind of stomp my feet like a little kid when people won't listen to me. I don't know why I got that in me. I'll wrap this up with two funny things. Michelle, I'm a little bit shaky right now. We'll talk another day though, okay? But I'll wrap this up with two funny things that are personal, really funny, okay? Okay, so this is a couple of years ago, and I don't want to scare you or nothing. I'm not a bad guy. I'm a good guy, okay? Really good guy. And then anyway, so I piss off this anger counselor. So that's a second. I'm court ordered. Okay? Don't look up my rap sheet because I'm not a bad guy. Really, I'm not a bad guy. Don't look up my rap sheet. It's not good. And so I'm like court ordered, and then so I piss off this anger counselor. He's bad. Everybody in the class, they're like, Raul, shut up. Just don't go there. And I'm just like, he goes, well, I hand him all ones. I have to pay the guy $50 a month. And then so I'm like, handing him $1 bills. And we're not supposed to be going to bars or anything, right? And then so somebody in the back says, what'd you do, Raul? Did you go to a strip club last night? And I go, yep. It's like I'm paying the guy in $1 bill.
Were you the dancer?
And
Was that your
he gets
earnings?
mad. He goes, and then I'm just like, so, open mouth, insert foot, And so I piss him off. So now I got to get another counselor. It's like, uh-oh, I violated probation. I'm going to go to jail for a month. And I thought, uh-oh, I better not do that, So they're signing me up with another anger counselor, right? I didn't even get a chance to go to my first meeting, and I pissed off the second anger counselor.
Oh, my gosh.
He called my probation officer and said, we're not having nothing to do with this guy. And it's just like, my probation officer called me up and goes, how'd you piss off 2 anger counselors in a week?
Because I'm Raul.
Anyway, oh God, Michelle.
That's a paradox in itself.
You're so wonderful. And Shane unbiased on the fence. he's also so cool. And you guys to head up the Mandela effect group community, because that's what you're doing, right?
Well, I'm a leader of no one. I'm a leader. I listen to everyone, and I resonate and can look at everybody's different experiences, and even through each different experience.
And then I won't name names, but some people are just so hard-headed they will not be open to new ideas. And I'm like, look, pal, I'm telling you right now, Nikola Tesla was a fraud. And then I'll say, gosh darn it. And then the next thing you know, I'm kicked out. And they just won't listen. I'd love to name names right now. But the thing is,
we don't do that here.
You really do you are open, and Shane, Shane unbiased on the fence. What a guy. Isn't he just so cool?
I met him in person the same time I met Mike, My Skies 5D. And he is just as amazing in person. And that's how you can tell if they are the same in person as they are as you see them on the screen. And he is
When you
wonderful.
meet somebody in person, you feel you're stepping into their aura. I mean, we all have like a.
We're still tethered. We can tether even now as we are talking. We can tether to one another. So that's how come I can say what I'm saying, by people sharing and being open, and feeling that I want to be welcoming to people. I may not resonate with everyone, and I get accused of a lot of things that I have to go look up because I don't even know what they are. But what I think, no matter what direction we're coming from, that it's going to lead to the one truth. Whatever is going to start your awakening process, have that refinement period, go on within your heart and your mind. Your spirit is already pure. You're here to have, in a blink of an eye, you're born with nothing, you leave with nothing. You're here to have your experiences, to grow, and to remember how you are that child of God that we were talking about earlier, how we all are. We're brothers and sisters. And, Shane had, I actually called Shane after I stayed on the line and razzed you, and we pretty much took over his show. And, he thought that was great. I was like, I'm so sorry that I did that to you, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, no. He thoroughly enjoyed
Before we get into a mutual admiration society here, and it just gets all freaking messed stupid.
Oh, I don't talk about people.
Though. I want to tell you one more thing, though. Michelle, I've been around psych counselors
Did you piss them off
50
too?
years. 50 years, honey. And I'll tell you what, you would make one of the best counselors ever. because just how you are and how you speak, and yep, that's what I see. And I tell you what, I've had 2 counselors. My counselors make $300 an hour to talk to me.
Wow. And that was a
You
very
would make
kind.
a great
That's a very
you would
kind
make
thing
a
to say.
great counselor. You would make a great counselor, Michelle. We just love you, honey, in this Mandela Effect community. You are so
Mandela
wonderful.
effect,
Please
conspiracy, Skywatch, whatever,
Yeah.
biblical, spiritual, whether you lucid dream, whether you can see the future, whether I am, I'm all about all of those things because of I've had so
You're
many.
Californian. Californians are kind of like that. I really honestly feel like I should have been born and raised and live in California. I honestly do.
I was born
because
here, but I
Californians are
move.
almost like reincarnated Atlanteans. That's what you guys are.
Really, I think I feel more resonating with the Lemurian.
I know what all that is. I know what Lemuria, and I know what the MU,
Mm-hmm.
and
Atlantic was
I don't
more
know.
into with the what do we have? What do
I
they
think
call
the
that?
Atlanteans were the '60s kids, pretty much. That's the Atlantean guys.
No.
If-
I think you have that
let's just-
backwards. Like we have was it San Francisco or not San Francisco? Yeah, where they moved all the people out, and it's like all tech companies now. They like their gizmos and gadgets. They call it something, but
Silicon Valley.
Silicon Valley. Thank you. So that would be more like Atlantean. They like their gizmos and gadgets, where the Lemurian like their experiences and spirituality.
Well, see, because in part, now I'm a black belt in Edgar Casey, right?
Or maybe I have it backwards.
And then Edgar Casey was asked one time, what did the Atlanteans look like? What did they look like? And he described hippies to the T. He said, and this was in the 1930s, he said that the Atlanteans had long hair, they had beads and long hair and sandals, and that's what Casey described the Atlanteans as. And so in the 60s, everybody in the Association Research Enlightenment, Edgar Casey Foundation, they all said, oh, there they are. And it was like the 1960s.
Interesting,
kids.
because you know what? Because we're in backwards land. So what I just said, maybe backwards. Maybe it was the Lemurians that were into all the technology and that kind of stuff, and the Atlanteans they knew that everything that they had or everything that they needed was already within them, so they didn't have to have
Did you
gizmos
study
and
about?
gadgets.
Did you see about these about the Tartarian thing?
Tartarian is a familiar.
Tartarian.
It's familiar, but I didn't do a lot of research on it.
They had just the pyramids just by themselves. So, yep, there was really high tech back then. They really knew their stuff.
Frequency.
Edgar Casey
Sound.
talks about how the pyramids were built. He said that they had stone. Let's see. He said stone floats, iron made to swim. How the pyramids were built, it's kind of like a riddle. Okay. Iron floats, or let's see, the same force that
Water.
iron floats makes, okay, let me start over. The Great Pyramids were built by the same forces that make iron to swim and stone floats in the same manner. Okay, it's kind of like a riddle.
Interesting.
But I think I got it figured out. I think I know what it is.
Okay.
I figured out every mystery in the universe. I stood in crop circles. Did you know I went to the crop circles? I was in crop circles. I could not figure out crop circles. I figured out everything in the whole universe except 2 things before the Mandela effect, One was crop circles. I could not figure out how crop circles were done. I mean, that just baffled me. And then can't explain the Mandela effect either, can we? Still, after 5 years, we still can't figure out what it is, can we?
Well, I don't know. Can we?
What is Mandela effect? How's it done?
How do you know
See?
that we're not the ones causing these, and that we've been able to do this our entire lives, but we're just now remembering? Just like, sky watchers can take images of skies that are absolutely breathtaking and beautiful, but it's actually a reflection of what's going on within their heart, within them, is reflecting out around them and what they're interacting with as their reality.
You know what you're doing? You're doing genius thinking when you turn things around like that. When you turn things around and you look at when genius IQs are asked what do you say when I say black? They always go the opposite. They would say white. So they would say good and they would say bad. They're almost like opposite. They swing it opposite. But let me finish the thought and then I'll let you go. Now don't laugh. Okay, ready?
Don't say that, because last time you busted me up.
I figured out every mystery in the universe. Every mystery in the universe. I could not figure out crop circles. I'm like, doggone it. Can't figure out crop circles. And there's one other thing. How do women think? I just could not figure out the thinking of a woman.
Right back at you.
I heard that giggle. Hey, Michelle, I love you, honey. I really am a little bit jumpy tonight, but please carry on. You're such a good asset to the Mandela Effect community, and you and Shane and Dark Wolf and
is
you
amazing.
Guys you guys are so wonderful because you are open-minded to look at other possibilities with like faith and things like that, That's a good thing, you know what I mean? To not be, it's my way, or, you know what I'm saying?
Respecting other people's journey is
part
of unconditional
love. Yeah, and other people are entitled to their opinion, even if their opinion is,
different.
Michelle, I really am almost really kind of jumpy tonight, but I just kind of did it from the hip, you know what I mean? I was married to one beautiful girl, Amy. She passed away, and you know what that is. I still think of Amy every day. I think of her every day, Michelle. We were together for like close to 10 years. We were side by side, and people would say, "You can't do that," and then that would trigger her and I to say, "You say we can't do that, you just watch this. We're going to do it just because you said we couldn't do it." And we grew so hard and fast. We built $1 million house and had brand new cars in less than, I don't know, T-minus 8 years. We would set it. She and I were like gas and fire. It's like, what a combination.
You brought out the best
Are your
in
husband
each
and
other.
you, as a personal question, please don't answer, just say mind your own business. Do you have that relationship with your husband? Is he really a good man that's like a yin and yang, Do you guys really fit
I'll tell
hand
you
in glove?
that
Isn't that wonderful?
husband and I...
Isn't that wonderful? Oh, isn't that wonderful? Oh, my God, I feel like I'm going to cry because
See,
I missed
he
that
already
so
knows my
bad
answer.
because Michelle, everybody's like, "Oh, Raleigh, you're so lucky. You're such a bachelor. You just got it all. You got everything, Raleigh, everything." It's like, no, I don't. I would give it all away to have Amy come back to life.
Right.
Amy was so gorgeous. You would not believe this young lady that I was married to.
Yes, I would.
She was so beautiful. And it was like she was fun and just like she was the baby of a big LDS president. She was like the baby daughter of a frickin' pure family. This family was so frickin'...
By the way, Raleigh was married to 2 Mormon women, but only
But not
one
at the
at a
same time. But not at the same time.
I told you a joke.
Oh, I've pissed off the LDS guys so bad. They won't even let me have missionaries. They won't send missionaries to my house anymore because I'm like, hey, did you know that there's bottles and wineskins, that in the Book of Mormon? And I tell them that, and I go, is it wineskins? They go, yep. I go, okay, let's look her up. And we look it up, and it's bottles. They think I'm a demon. Sitting in front of them.
Well, you're far from being that, I assure you. You have
Second Nephi. Second Nephi. Second Nephi says lion and the lamb.
Yes.
Not anymore. It says wolf and the lamb. And in LDS churches, there's beautiful paintings and artworks and stuff of the lion and the lamb.
Hey, Raul, let me ask you a quick question. The channel that you're chatting from in the chat, is that is that what your name is of the channel that you try to go live on? Is that your main channel? So that way people will know how to find
live.
you.
I can't. I don't know why they don't let me because I don't have as many subscribers.
Well,
I
you
think
can
having
from
my
your
own channel
computer.
one day is gonna, whether it's BitChute or something. Oh no, I've just got my stupid iPhone.
Oh, okay. Well,
I've got about 3 computers. I've got 3 computers. All my stuff's in storage, Michelle.
but that
What
is
happens when
your
you sell?
channel.
What happens when you sell a
Answer the one
3,200 square foot house?
Hey.
What happens then? And you move into a 1-bedroom apartment.
Hey, Raul, we got
What do
somebody
you
on
got?
hold. I just want to ask you: is that the one that you're chatting with? Will that bring people to your channel? Because you do put out videos. You do have content there.
I used to, and then I don't anymore. But I
we'll
will
get back
again.
to it. That's in
I will
order.
again, but I don't. It's just my Raleigh channel has a couple videos, and then my Arlie channel.
Because
Arlie
we
was my
affect each other.
grandfather's name, by the way. Arlie, Arleigh. That was my grandfather's name, Michelle.
Aw, nice.
Yeah. Isn't that neat? They switched the A and the R. Arlie's a cool name, huh? That was my grandfather's name. He owned a racehorse ranch.
Really?
My parents sold it for $3.5 million.
Okay, I got one
Yes.
question before I let you go.
Uh-oh.
Did you figure out how crop circles are made?
I just don't know. I think it's like some kind of 3D printer thing or something. I don't know, but there's purpose. There's something really special about crop circles. And, if you look at them, it affects your head. You know what I'm saying? If you look at different
symbolism.
colors, you know how colors affect mood.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at images of crop circles, it will have
Shift
an
you.
impact. It'll make your thinking different. So you just look at the crop circles, kind of just look at them. It's like a communication thing.
Well,
I stood in a
love
crop
you.
circle, Michelle. Hey, Michelle, if you can write this down, I want to tell you the crop circle out there. You can find it online. It's pretty neat.
Email me.
So I was married to Cheryl, Mormon girl number 2. Okay. And I said, Cheryl, I said, I can't believe it. There's a crop circle over by Yellowstone Park. And she goes, all right, go ahead. And I took off. I was there in like 3 hours. It was like, but you got to see this crop circle. It's pretty neat.
Can you email
Okay,
it to
so
me,
it's called the Parker Teton 2002 Crop Circle. So Parker, P is in Paul, so Parker, Parker, Teton, Teton. It's after the Teton Mountains. It's right outside of Teton, Idaho, and then Teton, the Grand Tetons, and then but anyway, this crop circle appeared right next to a graveyard, way out in the middle of nowhere, and it was like, whoa. And then anyway, if you look it up, Parker Teton Crop Circle. So I'm standing in the middle of this thing, right? And they're talking about orbs flying around the thing all night long. These little old farmer ladies. Mm-hmm. And they're just sitting there, and they go, oh yeah, we see flying orbs lit up all night long, flying around this thing every night. And I'm like, no kidding. Anyway, I stood in the middle of it, and then we all had like digital cameras then, you know, like still even 35 millimeters and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. What'd you feel?
Okay,
I want to know what you felt.
So I'm standing.
Get
I'm
to the
standing
meat
in the
and
middle of
potatoes.
this thing. I'm standing right in the middle of it, and it's a Celtic cross.
Ooh.
Oh, it's cool looking too, man. This thing was big as a football field. And then I was like standing right dead center in the middle of it, you know. And I handed my camera to some girl, and I said, "Hey, take my picture, would you?" And she took my picture, and Michelle, over the top of me, about 2-3 feet, is a big black snake floating in the frickin' over the top of my head.
Oh my goodness.
I'm serious. It was so crazy. It was like, crop circles are cool. Aren't crop circles neat?
Hey, I wanted
We don't
to add
get any
this
out west.
before I let you go. I wanted to say, as you were describing your life and when you were married to your first wife before you lost her, the things that were going on that transpired that in TikTok time within an 8-year period, which is record time for you to go from one to another type of paradigm, that the hand or the gifts that are already in you were already active. You were already, as you said, you be careful what you pray for. Prayer is timeless. We are timeless. So this is already, and it has already been working for the good in your life, your entire life. Now that you're becoming aware of it, it even makes it that much better. And being aware of another thing that you brought up is anger, and being, kind of when you get frazzled, you really want to be heard.
Not a good thing, no.
So what you need to practice is patience. Just practice a little.
Practice what?
Practice a little patience with yourself
Patience, yes.
first.
Patience, time, space, and patience. Edgar
You
Casey
need to be
said
patient with yourself
that one of the
first.
big lessons was time, space, and patience.
Once you
was a
master
big
patience
lesson.
with yourself, it will automatically trickle out into every area or wherever you are communicating and trying to relay messages. They'll come out clearer because you won't feel rushed or pressured with being impatient with you. You're being impatient with
Michelle,
yourself.
you just you speak like you're saying poetry. You would make a great counselor, Michelle.
You're
You
very
speak
sweet,
like
but
you're saying poetry. You tell that husband of yours he hang on to you with both hands.
well, I definitely did get a good one this time, and I was about
Michelle,
to give
you're
up.
so full of love. You are just so loving. Who
Well,
are you?
It's a reflection from him.
You're one
also.
of those. You're one of those angels in disguise, aren't you? Sneaky old angels. You sneaky old angel can't fool me. I know you're one of those angels in disguise the Bible talks about.
There are so many
I
of
think
them, you wouldn't believe
I
it.
met an angel once. Michelle, this guy was reading my mind. I met this guy, and he walks up to me, and he goes, it was real late at night, I'm a night owl, night guy.
Mhm.
So I was like cruising around, and then I just come face to face with this guy, right? And he goes, are you an angel? Now I'm just kidding around with him. And I said, oh yeah, I'm an angel too. Right?
Yes.
And he goes, oh, okay, I was just asking. And I go, yeah, uh-huh. And it didn't scare me, And I said, well, which way are you going? So I was walking across town, and I said, I'm going this way, and we're just walked just calmly, and I really didn't know who he was, Michelle. I mean, I didn't know him from Adam. And then he goes, oh, okay, it's good to run into another angel. And I said, yep. And then listen to this, Michelle. Long story short, he read my mind several times. I'm serious. He read my mind several times. Then he's talking about, we're going up to this, too hard to explain, there was a building, and he goes, front door's open. I go, no, it's not. I said, we got to get in. We got to break into this place. There's something I need to do. Long story short, okay? Mm-hmm. And he goes, front door's open. I go, no, it's not. I go, it's locked for sure. I know it is. I know it's locked. It just is. He goes, no, it's unlocked, man. And I go, no, it's not. And so I'm trying everything to break into this building. And then
He
I
opened
go,
the door.
all right, fine. And I said, fine. So we walk around, and Michelle, the front door was open.
Mm-hmm.
And then 1 minute I'm talking to the guy, I turn my back on him. Another long story short, I turn my back, and then I turn back around, and the dude was gone. He vanished in thin air.
Or did you
I
vanish?
really think I met an angel.
Can I tell you a neat, just a worldly story that kind of reminds me? I told this story like 3 times this last couple days, and
Hey, Ralph.
now let's talk about this. Oh, you got to go?
Well, I've got somebody on hold, and there was one other thing I wanted to say before I disconnect with you.
Yeah, I'll
And-
let you go. I'll tell you that story next time we talk. I've got a great story. This girl
And please email me that link.
met an angel. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you another day, though. Okay? I'll talk with you later. I love you, sweetheart.
Every Wednesday, I'm going to be doing this. Yes, call in again. I love talking to you. But I wanted to say this. Maybe you were a test for the anger management counselors. Something else to think about.
Nobody believes me, Michelle. No one believes me. And I say, yes, I did. I pissed off 2 anger counselors. I had to go to jail for a couple months for that.
Just
Hey,
food
take
for
that
thought,
caller
sweetie.
on hold. I love you, Michelle.
I love you too, and I will talk to you soon.
Okay,
hon.
all right.
All right, bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you for holding. We got Placeville, California. You are live on Awake and Activate.
Yeah, hi. In response to that last guy's caller about the crop circle, I actually have a very similar experience.
Nice.
I was on a crop circle once, and I saw Howard Stern's nutsack.
Okay, so obviously that was a very patient troll. I'm going to close up the phone lines. Because we've been going for several hours, but I do want to talk about a few of the conversations and the shares that we've had this evening, and how amazing and diverse, but all still interconnected that we all are. I mean, it's just such a beautiful understanding and understanding of how we affect. Let me see. Nope, no, I'll leave that one up. I want to move this one down. There we go. And how we interact with the reality that surrounds us. Excuse me. And how it affects things that go on around us, and how we actually see things that are going on around us differently than how it's portrayed on media or these other platforms. And it's just been an awesome share tonight. I had 3 amazing callers. We're gonna do this every Wednesday, because I want to get to know everybody. Get back into a rhythm, where you guys can expect it. It's been almost a year since I lost Shannon, so it's time. It's time to get back with you guys who have been there for me throughout this duration, and how grateful I am for all of you, and how valuable each of us are, and how much we offer to one another. It's beyond words. It's just beyond words how much we mean to each other, how much we affect one another. And it's a beautiful thing. Now I appreciate the compliments and things like that, but I'm going to tell you, I am just like everybody else. I'm a normal person. I face problems and issues, and it's just how we deal with them, or how we allow them to affect us, that makes the difference on how we respond. Are we going to go with fear, or are we going to respond with love, unconditional love? And as it was mentioned before, we forget the things that we have forgiven other people for. But what we do not forget are things like what I was talking to, I'm going to butcher his name, Nachita, Nachita, with what happened in 2008. We don't want to forget things like that from corporations, which are non-living entities, and things that have happened, so we don't repeat those type of mistakes, that we learn from them and we, continue forward. But as for each other, we don't fight flesh and blood. We're one, we're brothers and sisters. And to forgive is such a powerful tool to have in your toolbox, that it automatically resonates with unconditional love. They go hand in hand. So with that, thank you guys for being here for such a long time. This is longer than normal. I'm going to try and bring them down to at least an hour and a half, and have the callers call in quicker, and so we can talk to more and more of you as you get braver and braver to call. Let me say hello to, let's see, we got Tom, Long Reach 1, Angel Fish, Go-Kart Bob. I'm just scrolling up, so be patient with me because I want to just say hello to everybody. Society Rejects, Rawl, Dark Wolf's Den, who put together an amazing conference last year and putting together another one this year. Earth Daughter. I'm still scrolling. My Skies 5D. And that's as far as I'm going to scroll. And I think I mentioned Angelfish. Thank you guys for spending your evening with me. Look forward to more postings coming out, and pay attention to what's going on in your world and interacting with you in your reality versus what is being told to us, as we are all breaking out of the program and remembering how wonderful everybody is and how awesome we are, and in need to interact with one another, to hug each other, and how valuable and irreplaceable that you are in this world. Have yourself a wonderful evening, and remember, always share what you know so we can all listen and grow.